Chapter 1318. 1318 was completely suppressed. When Wang Xian finished his words, his body moved and instantly attacked the 6 demonic beasts. Roar! Damn it, run! This despicable human, all of us demonic beasts will join hands to kill him. The demonic beasts stared at Wang Xian with wide eyes in shock. When they saw him rushing over, they fled back in fear. Some of them even roared in anger. However, Wang Xian didn't give them any time. Among the demonic beasts that stayed on the first level, none of them were above the second level of the see-through void stage. The demon-free sword in his hand vibrated slightly. A special energy attacked the 6 demonic beasts of the demonic Lin clan in front of him. Oh no, quickly dodge. 2 of the demonic Lin beasts were filled with shock as they hurriedly fled into the distance. The other 4 demonic beasts were unable to dodge in time and were directly enveloped by a black fog. The 5 elements' energy contained in the fog directly annihilated and killed them. Another 4 experts at the second level of the see-through realm were instantly killed. At this moment, Wang Xian was like an invincible demon king. Any enemy would be instantly killed in one move. Watching the nameless sword demon kill 8 experts at the second level of the see-through realm in 2 moves, the entire first level was completely silent. Regardless of whether it was the demonic beasts or the humans, all of them swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Their eyes were filled with fear. It's almost time to return to the Dragon Palace. I should get some corpses of the insightful void martial artists back to help the members of the Dragon Palace raise their levels. Wang Xian thought to himself. He swept his gaze across all the demonic beasts in the hall and started moving. Run. This despicable human. Hide in the formation. Not good, he can break into the formation directly. The 3rd level formation of the void interpretation stage is completely useless. A series of panicked voices and terrified cries were heard, causing chaos in the entire first level of the main hall. When some demonic beasts saw Wang Xian rushing into a formation and killing the demonic beasts inside, they were even more terrified. They used the array formation to create a safe space to prevent the other party's experts from coming over to kill them wantonly. Now, this human actually disregarded the array formation. The rest of the demonic beasts didn't hesitate at all and fled frantically outside. All of you stay behind. The crown on Wang Xian's head swayed slightly and charged forward with destructive energy. The energy covered an area of 1,000 meters. All the demonic beasts that were covered by the energy were killed. At least 20 corpses of the demonic beasts were lying on the ground. This caused the rest of the demonic beasts to walk out frantically. Wang Xian didn't continue to chase after them. He moved his body and kept the corpses into his interspatial ring. The demonic beasts also possessed interspatial rings. However, the treasures in them were much less than those of humans. The improvement of the strength of the demonic beasts depended entirely on resources. After they obtained some resources, they would immediately convert them into strength. However, even so, more than 20 demonic beasts at the insightful void tier still brought Wang Xian a lot of blood essence and spiritual liquid. Nameless sword demon, he. Behind them, the human powerhouses who were staying in the formation saw this scene and their pupils couldn't help but shrink. They swallowed a mouthful of saliva and kept the formation. Then they slowly retreated outside. It was very common to kill and rob people in the graveyard of demons and humans. They were really afraid that the nameless sword demon would attack them. This made some people flee outside in fear. Wang Xian's eyes swept across more than 20 insightful void martial artists. His eyes were sparkling. If he could kill all of them, his level would definitely increase. No, don't kill us. We have no enmity with you. One of the insightful emptiness realm experts saw the glint in Wang Xian's eyes. He quickly shouted and walked out. Forget it. Wang Xian shook his head. He did not attack when he saw all the human experts escaping. On the first level of the main hall, everyone had escaped. At this moment, at the stairway to heaven, at the entrance to the second level, 3 middle-aged men walked out. They were dressed in Blood Flow Dynasty's attire. When they saw that Wang Xian was the only one riding on the demon soul in the hall, they were surprised. Nameless Sword Demon? This is the Nameless Sword Demon who obtained the Supreme Heaven's Pride. It's him, a very mysterious kid. The 3 of them looked at Wang Xian. Kid, where are the people in the hall on the first floor? Where did they go? Could it be that there are treasures unearthed in the main hall? The old man in the middle stared at Wang Xian with a twinkle in his eyes as he asked him. I don't know. Wang Xian shook his head lightly. He patted his demon soul and walked towards the stairway to heaven. Kid, I'm asking you a question. What's with your attitude? Maybe he thinks that he's a supreme heaven's pride expert and doesn't take anyone seriously. Back then, when our blood flow empire invited him, this fellow didn't even reply. The two elders beside him saw Wang Xian's cold and arrogant look. They narrowed their eyes slightly and said coldly, "How impudent." The eyes of the elder in the middle also revealed a cold look. He raised his palm and a terrifying flame rose from it. "You're courting death." When Wang Xian saw them making their move, the crown on his head spun and turned into a 100-meter-wide 5 elements millstone. It pressed down on them directly. "You still dare to fight back? Do you really think that a supreme heaven's pride expert can suppress everyone?" The elder in the middle glared angrily. An aura of a level 3 insightful void martial artist was emitted. He raised both his palms and attacked the 5 elements millstone directly. "Suppress." Wang Xian moved slightly. The 2 flaming palms that were attacking the 5 elements millstone suddenly doubled in size and attacked the 3 of them at an even more terrifying speed. What? What kind of supernatural ability is this? The 3rd-level insightful void martial artist's face was filled with shock. His entire body was exuding an even more terrifying flame. However, the moment the flame rose, it actually became chaotic. It was as though he could not control his own strength. What is this? He had a horrified expression on his face as he watched helplessly as the flaming palm descended. Boom! The expert at level 3 of the see-through realm was instantly killed, along with 2 other experts at level 2 of the see-through realm. A look of contempt appeared on Wang Xian's face. He walked over and kept the interspatial ring in the corpse. Wang Xian checked all the interspatial rings. He took out the spiritual liquid and blood essence and consumed them immediately. There were more than 30 interspatial rings of void interpretation stage powerhouses in total. The spiritual liquid and blood essence contained in the interspatial rings increased the amount of dragon crystals by about 40 million. He looked at the amount of dragon crystals required to upgrade his level. It was only about 10 million. If he was lucky, it wouldn't be long before his strength would be able to break through the void interpretation stage and reach the 3rd change of the divine dragon transformation. Let's go up and take a look. Wang Xian looked at the stairway to heaven. He rode on his demon soul and flew straight up. At a height of about 20 meters, when Wang Xian arrived at the upper level, he realized that the 2nd level was completely different from the 1st level. On the 2nd level there were many rooms. Each room contained a majestic spiritual energy. Chapter 1319. 1319 Young Master. When he arrived at the 2nd floor, the dragon's eyes of light and dark fire scanned through the rooms on the 2nd floor. There were only 2 human powerhouses cultivating in the 2 rooms. The thick and heavy metal door was tightly shut. Even a powerhouse at the 3rd level of the void interpretation stage would find it difficult to break through it. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment and continued to walk towards the 3rd floor. Roar! Suddenly, when Wang Xian had just arrived at the 3rd level, he heard the roar of a beast. He looked over and saw a demonic beast fighting with a ferocious beast. Both the demonic beast and the ferocious beast were at the 3rd level of the see-through realm. When the demonic beast saw Wang Xian suddenly coming up from below, its cold eyes swept across him. "Damn it, you ruined my plan." The demonic beast let out a cry with a sullen face. With a leap, it flew out from a window on the 3rd floor. I can't believe I can get out from the 3rd floor. On the contrary, I can't fly up from the outside." Wang Xian revealed a look of astonishment. There weren't many complicated terrains in the main hall. Each floor was where the elders of the Bloodstream sect cultivated. As it was the starting point of the spirit vein, each level contained a huge amount of spiritual energy. This place was the most powerful blessed land in the entire Luhai region. This was also the reason why many insightful emptiness realm experts gathered here. They continued to walk up to the 4th, 5th, and 6th level. There were humans or demonic beasts in each of the sealed rooms. The rooms were not a formation. Even Wang Xian would find it extremely difficult to enter. After all, the people who used to live here had the strength of at least level 5 of the see-through realm. With his strength he could not break through the houses they built. When he reached the 10th floor in a row, Wang Xian suddenly realized that there were 5 to 6 old men sitting cross-legged and cultivating. Han Zong, these are the people from Han Zong. Wang Xian's gaze swept across the 6 of them as his eyes sparkled. However, very soon the killing intent in his heart disappeared. Among the 6 old men, the lowest was at level 3 of the see-through realm. One of them was at level 4 of the see-through realm and was extremely powerful. With his current strength, he could only kill all of them after he transformed into a divine dragon. However, there was a figure in a cultivation room behind them. If that person was stronger, he would have no choice but to flee. This floor is reserved by our Frost sect. Immediately, when the 6 people from the Frost sect on the 10th floor sensed that Wang Xian had stepped onto the floor, the bald old man who was sitting in the middle spoke coldly. However, before he could finish his words, he suddenly narrowed his eyes. "Kid, which sect are you from?" the bald old man asked with a twinkle in his eyes. "No sect, no sect. He's just an unaffiliated person," Wang Xian said faintly. "He seems to be that nameless sword demon. He's this year's Supreme Heaven's Pride expert. A few months ago, Han Shan and the rest ambushed him. One of our deacons was killed." An old woman in aquamarine clothes, who was sitting cross-legged not far from the bald old man, suddenly spoke in a hoarse voice. "Oh, is that so? Those little guys from Han Shan, get them to get some strong corpses for young master to devour. These little guys only got 2 of them. Supreme Heaven's Pride, not bad. Let's use you as young master's nourishment." The bald old man had just finished his words when his body disappeared instantly. A stream of water that was like a demonic creature attacked Wang Xian directly. "What?" Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly when he saw the old man suddenly attacking him. Young Master. He was called Young Master by an old man at the 4th level of the Void Interpretation stage. When he was on the 1st level, Wang Xian heard the young man from the Frost sect mention the term Young Master. Since this old man was addressed as Young Master, could it be that the Frost sect had an expert at level 5 of the Void Interpretation stage? How come he had never heard of this faction before? Wang Xian had some doubts in his heart. The crown on his head turned into a 5 elements millstone and headed toward the expert at level 4 of the Void Interpretation stage. Boom! A terrifying explosion sound exploded in front of the 5 elements millstone. The 5 elements millstone trembled for a moment. As expected, it's a little difficult to fight against an expert at the 4th level of the Void Interpretation stage. However, I'm not necessarily afraid of him. Wang Xian looked at the bald elder who was sent flying backward. He narrowed his eyes slightly. Annihilate. The 5 elements millstone turned into a radius of 1,000 meters. The 5 elements counteracted each other and created a terrifying annihilating space. What a strong kid. Impossible. His strength is at the 4th level of the Void Interpretation stage. The bald elder sensed the terrifying attack from the 5 elements millstone and his expression changed slightly. You people from the Frost sect are really courting death. A hint of anger flashed in Wang Xian's eyes. He was suddenly attacked 6 months ago. Now he actually wanted to kill him and turn him into energy to be devoured. It seemed that if he didn't destroy Han Zong, he would really think that Wang Xian was easy to bully. What's going on? At this moment, a mechanical sound came from a room at the back of the 10th floor. The stone door at the back opened slowly. When Wang Xian saw an extremely old arm stretching out, his pupils constricted slightly. Let's go. Wang Xian didn't hesitate at all. He moved his body and flew directly toward the 11th floor. Grand Elder. The bald elder and a few other elders saw the stone door approaching. Their expressions changed slightly as they bowed and shouted. Let's go out. It's almost time. At this moment, a young voice that was laughing heartily came from inside. A thin and weak young man with long hair and disheveled hair walked out slowly. His incomparably sharp gaze swept the surroundings, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Young Master. The bald old man sensed the young man's aura, and his pupils constricted slightly as he called out respectfully in shock. Let's go. There are still 2 days before the day of the Crown Prince's establishment. Second brother, I want to give you a big surprise. Perhaps you would never have thought that not only did I not die when I entered the Origin Light Dragon pool, I even obtained a great opportunity. Kiki. And that fellow, I hope that you will appear. When the time comes, I will personally kill you. The thin and frail long-haired young man raised his head slightly and laughed arrogantly. His body was filled with a terrifying baleful aura. Even though his body was of the light attribute, it still gave off a sinister feeling. With your talent, the flowing sea region will be under your feet in the future. A stiff voice came from behind again. An old man with an extremely shriveled body and skin and bones walked out mechanically. The old man didn't seem to have any signs of life. However, his emerald green body possessed a terrifying energy. That voice? And that bald old man's respectful expression. He should be at the 5th level of the void interpretation stage. Wang Xian rushed straight to the 11th floor. When he sensed that there was no pursuit from below, he frowned slightly. 5th level of the void interpretation stage. Young master. I encountered a powerhouse at the 5th level of the void interpretation stage on the 10th floor. Wouldn't it be more dangerous up there? Wang Xian looked at the hall on the 11th floor and realized that there was a demonic beast cultivating inside a room. Chapter 1320. 1320 The Strong Creature and the Nameless Sword Demon. I have to improve my strength to the insightful emptiness realm first. When the time comes, I have to find an opportunity to kill that frost sect. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. He moved his body and continued to fly towards the higher level. Roar! Roar! When Wang Xian arrived at the 13th level, the situation inside and outside had completely changed. There were more than a dozen ferocious beasts, and each of them was at level 3 of the void interpretation stage. 4 of them had a body size, thick scales, and 2 huge rhinoceros horns. However, their bodies were not that heavy. Spirit horn scale beasts. They are spirit horn scale beasts at level 3 of the void interpretation stage. Wang Xian immediately recognized the group of ferocious beasts, and his eyes flashed with a cold luster. According to rumors, the upper levels of the main hall were occupied by ferocious beasts. Even the strongest person in the Luhai region had only reached level 17 or 18. No one had entered the top level before. Now it seems that it was as expected. Kill? Without any hesitation, Wang Xian turned into a divine dragon and attacked the dozen of spiritual horn-scale beasts. Boom, boom, boom. A huge 5-elemental millstone appeared on the 13th floor. Suppress. After transforming into a divine dragon, Wang Xian's strength increased by a notch. Under the suppression of the 5-elemental millstone, the dozen of spiritual horn-scale beasts of the 3rd level of the see-through realm were instantly suppressed. Ha! These few rooms had all been searched by someone. What bad luck. After putting away the corpse of the spirit horn beasts, Wang Xian looked around a few rooms but did not find any treasures. He looked up and moved to the 14th level. This is. When he had just stepped into the 14th level, he immediately saw a huge demonic beast entrenched inside. It had a 20-meter-long body, pitch-black scales all over its body, and a huge triangular head. Hiss hiss hiss. Demon-tailed venomous snake. It's a demon-tailed venomous snake demonic beast. Wang Xian stared at this demonic beast with his dragon eyes. Demon-tailed venomous snake demonic beast was a species of demonic beasts. This kind of demonic beast was very rare among the demonic beasts in the human demon graveyard. However, the bloodline level of this kind of demonic beast was not low. Seeing that Wang Xian had arrived at the 14th level, it raised its head slightly. Its cold triangular eyes were filled with warning. Get out of my territory. The demon-tailed venomous snake roared directly. Water creature if that's the case. Wang Xian's eyes revealed a cold expression. He moved his body and attacked the demon-tailed venomous snake directly. Get out of my territory. The demon-tailed viper roared loudly as a mouthful of black liquid spewed out from its mouth. The terrifying liquid instantly engulfed the entire 14th layer. Suppress. Wang Xian's dragon body trembled as the 5 elements millstone covered the entire 14th layer. The terrifying destructive power emitted by the 5 elements counteracting each other was directed towards the demon-tailed viper. Hiss hiss hiss. What is this? Its cold triangular eyes were filled with fear as it stared at the 5 elements millstone. With a long tail, it attacked the 5 elements millstone directly. Boom. The terrifying attack caused a violent tremor. Suppress. Wang Xian roared once again. The 5 divine dragons on the 5 elements millstone started to run wildly while the 5 elements millstone was operating. Below them, a world-destroying scene appeared. The demon-tailed viper below seemed to be undergoing a tribulation and was being attacked by the heaven and earth. Roar, roar, roar. The entire 14th floor seemed as though it was about to explode. The power of the 5 elements explosion caused many wounds to appear on its body. Hiss. Feeling the intense pain from its body, the demon-tailed viper was filled with fear. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Its huge body fled out of the window. If you want to escape, I will devour you. Then I will be able to level up. Where are you going to escape to? Wang Xian's eyes were extremely cold. He opened his huge mouth. The 5 elements grinding mill immediately shrunk and entered its mouth. Buzz. His dragon scales emitted a bright luster. Wang Xian moved his body and flew out. Roar. A dragon roar was heard in the main hall. Wang Xian stared at the escaping demon-tailed venomous snake and chased after it. After dashing out of the 14th floor of the main hall, Wang Xian's dragon eyes stared at the demon-tailed venomous snake. He opened his huge mouth and bit at it. Hiss hiss hiss. The demon-tailed venomous snake was suspended in the air. It swung its huge tail and swung it at Wang Xian. Annihilate. The 5 elements' energy circulated in the scales on Wang Xian's body. The 5 elements grinding mill was located behind his body. Its attack was even more terrifying. The dragon claw struck out and contained the explosion of the 5 elements. Boom, boom, boom. A violent explosion was heard. Huge wounds appeared on the tail of the demon-tailed viper instantly. Psst, psst, psst. The demon-tailed viper shook its body in fear and wanted to escape into the distance. Bind. Roar. Wang Xian roared again. The phantom of a divine dragon dashed out from his body. The phantom was formed from the 5 elements' energy. It flew to the surroundings of the demon-tailed venomous snake and coiled it tightly. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The rapid and terrified sounds reverberated throughout the entire sky. Look, what is that? Oh my god, it's 2 powerful demonic beasts at least at the 4th level of the see-through realm fighting. That's the demon-tailed viper. What is that? What kind of demon beast is that, or is it a ferocious beast? Oh my god, that 30 to 40 meter long ferocious beast is going to devour that demon-tailed viper. That demon-tailed viper is a 4th level profound void tier demon beast. In the main hall, there are very few human experts at the 5th level of the profound void tier, and those at the 6th level of the profound void tier have not appeared for a long time. 2 4th level profound void tier creatures are basically at the top level. Is that 30 to 40 meter long creature at level 4 or level 5 of the see-through realm? Wang Xian and the demonic vipers were fighting about 1,000 meters away from the main hall. Many humans and demonic beasts in the surroundings looked over at the same time. Their faces were filled with shock. However, in this place, the demonic vipers were directly swallowed by the 30 to 40 meter long creature under everyone's shocked gaze. Terrifying. Terrifying. Roar. With a howl, the enormous creature flew towards the human exit. What kind of creature is that? Why is it flying towards the human exit? This creature has at least the strength of a 5th level profound void martial artist. Below, all the profound void martial artists stared in shock at the rapidly disappearing figure. Not far from the entrance of the main hall, the group of people that Frigid Sect had just walked out saw this scene. The bald old man's eyes were filled with fear. What is that 30 to 40 meter long creature? How terrifying, is he a 4th or 5th level profound void martial artist? The long-haired skinny young man standing by the side was also filled with shock as he asked the withered old man beside him. 5th level of the void interpretation realm, that creature is a 5th level void interpretation realm expert. The withered old man's eyes were filled with fear. Good heavens, we can't stay in this main hall any longer. A nameless sword demon easily killed a 2nd level void interpretation realm expert, and now, another terrifying creature has appeared. We'd better go back and come back after a period of time. At the side, more than 10 profound void martial experts gulped and walked out. Chapter 1321. 1321 Crown Prince. It's been a long time since a 5th level profound void martial artist appeared in the main hall. I wonder what that super powerful creature is? Do you think that creature looks like a dragon? It's too violent. It swallowed a 20 meter long snake with its mouth. A dragon? How is that possible? The dragon race has 2 wings. Do you think it's a super bloodline expert from other seas who came to our place? There is a very high possibility. When the bloodline is cultivated to the extreme, it can become a spirit and undergo the atavism. However, the possibility is very small. It should be a creature that lives on top of the main hall. We should come back in a few months. If this creature comes out again, it will be dangerous. Alright, I heard that the nameless sword demon killed more than 20 demonic beasts on the 1st floor. It is very powerful. Yeah, a single person killed more than 20 demonic beasts in an instant. He even killed a second-level profound void martial artist in an instant. Moreover, he even killed some of Cold Sex people. I feel that the nameless sword demon's strength is at least third-level profound void martial artist. He's truly a monster, a supreme genius. At the exit of the main hall, some profound void martial artists walked out. The battle between the two terrifying creatures in front of the main hall had shocked many people. This caused many people to escape from the main hall, afraid that they would encounter some danger. Haha, my level has increased. Finally. At the exit of the main hall, Wang Xian rode on his demon soul and flew towards the outer area of the human demon graveyard. Name Wang Xian. Race, 5 elements divine dragon, able to transform into a human. Level, Insightful Emptiness Realm Level 1, third transformation of the divine dragon transformation. Dragon Crystal, 76 400/100 000 Supernatural ability, ruling the water tribe that is lower than one's level. Devouring creatures to extract dragon crystals. Control of the 5 elements. Cultivation method, divine dragon transformation. Supernatural ability, soul absorbing, spirit attaching, light and dark fire dragon eyes, light and dark void, light and dark shadowless, light and dark. Aspect, 5 elements grinding. Dragon Palace, Level 3. Dragon Palace members, 3,396. Looking at his attributes and feeling the explosive power of his body, Wang Xian's eyes sparkled with a 5-colored radiance. After devouring the demonic might venomous snake demonic beast, he had achieved a transformation with just a little bit of dragon energy. He did not reach the half-step void interpretation stage and directly advanced to the first level of the void interpretation stage. At the same time, it was also the third transformation of the divine dragon transformation. The breakthrough in his cultivation had allowed him to dominate the entire Luhai region with his current strength. With his current strength, he could easily kill a top-notch powerhouse at the 5th level of the void interpretation stage in his divine dragon state. Even if he could not defeat a powerhouse at the 6th level of the void interpretation stage, he could still escape. It has been more than a year since I came out. It's time for me to return. Wang Xian thought to himself. Speed up. He shouted softly. The demon soul beneath him immediately increased its speed and galloped rapidly. Sitting on the demon soul and overlooking the entire human demon graveyard, Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. When he came here, he was just an insignificant weakling. He didn't even dare to fly in the sky. But now, a dragon was roaming the world. I have been in the main hall for more than half a year. I wonder if Zhang Fengying is worried. Wang Xian thought to himself. Soon, the place where he was staying appeared in his sight. Wang Xian's figure moved. He jumped down from his demon soul and took off his mask before flying into the courtyard. You are finally back. Zhang Fengying heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Wang Xian flying straight into the courtyard. She looked at him with a smile on her face. Ichimim, I have been gone for a long time this time. I have made you worried. Rest for a day. I will bid farewell to Long Xiaotian and we will return to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Wang Xian said to Zhang Fengying with a smile. Long Xiaotian. Zhang Fengying looked at him and took out an invitation card from her interspatial ring. If you're 2 days late, you might not be able to make it in time. This is Long Xiaotian's invitation card. 2 days later, the Light Dragon Empire will establish the Crown Prince. On that day, the Light Dragon Empire will hold a sacrificial ceremony in the tomb of the demi-human and confirm the future heir of the kingdom. Long Xiaotian said that the position of the Crown Prince this time will definitely be his. He wants you to come and watch the ceremony. Oh. Wang Xian took the invitation card that Zhang Fengying gave him and revealed a smile on his face. Have you started to confirm the position of the Crown Prince? Alright, let's wait until he becomes the Crown Prince before we return. In more than half a year's time, after Wang Xian helped him to eliminate the subordinates of a few of his brothers, Long Xiaotian's position was unshakable. At that time, the position of Crown Prince had basically been decided. During this period of time, many experts came to seek refuge with him. There were even 3 insightful Emptiness Realm experts who came to seek refuge with him. Among the group of Crown Princes, they were absolutely invincible. It's up to you. I can go back anytime. Zhang Fengying smiled at him. Alright, I'm going to rest. I haven't rested for half a year. This time I'm going to sleep for more than 10 hours. Wang Xian waved his hand at Zhang Fengying and walked into the room. Zhang Fengying nodded at him. Wow, there are so many people today. Of course. Look at what day it is today. It's the day that the Radiant Dragon Dynasty establishes the Crown Prince. This is the future king of the Radiant Dragon Dynasty. How can there be fewer people? As long as the entire Radiant Dragon Dynasty has some powerful families, the rest of the major forces in the Luhai region will come to watch the ceremony. Every time the Light Dragon Dynasty selects a crown prince, it is extremely grand, especially this year. This time is special. This year, the one in charge of the ceremony is not the royal family of the Light Dragon Dynasty, but the second prince. It is obvious that they have already expressed their opinions. Although it is not the time for the real announcement, the position of the crown prince is 100% that of the second prince. Now, the second prince's forces are also very powerful. He has 5 insightful void martial artists under him, and one of them is at level 2 of the insightful void martial artist. With his strength he can crush everyone else. 2 days later, in the morning, Wang Xian rested for more than 10 hours before heading to the island of the Radiant Dragon Dynasty with Zhang Fengying. When he arrived at the outer perimeter, he realized that there were tens of thousands of people in the surrounding sky. They came from the various influential families of the Radiant Dragon Dynasty. They were powerful mercenary groups. As long as they were qualified, they would all rush over. On the day of the Crown Prince, it meant that the future king would be confirmed. The family mercenary groups of the Light Dragon Dynasty would naturally come to pay their respects. They even had to send a congratulatory gift. Apart from the Light Dragon Dynasty as one of the top forces in the Luhai region, the other countries, sects and mercenary groups would also come to watch the ceremony. As one of the top figures in the Luhai region, they also had to come and get to know each other. Today it was a very big event for the entire Luhai region. Tiske, it really feels like thousands of people are coming to pay their respects. Wang Xian's gaze swept across the surroundings. There were see-through experts everywhere as he spoke with a smile on his face. Let's go. He moved his body and flew inside. The place where the heaven-worshipping ceremony was held was located above the island of the Guanglong dynasty. A huge place was built with a formation. A huge cauldron was erected in the middle. Tables and benches were set up in the surrounding void. It looked extremely majestic. In the middle there was a huge entrance. Every participating force had to take out an invitation card to attend the ceremony. Wang Xian's figure moved and flew towards the entrance. The line that entered was very long. It was a few hundred meters in front of them. Other than the members of the royal family of the Guanglong dynasty who entered directly from the island, everyone else had to enter through the main entrance. Haha, cousin is really amazing. The position of crown prince. In the future we can be considered as real royal relatives. Of course. 7 months ago, cousin's position as the crown prince was basically confirmed. In the Guanglong dynasty, our Hua family's position will be greatly elevated in the future. While Wang Xian was slowly queuing up to enter, a few excited voices suddenly came from behind. Chapter 1322. 1,322 guests. 1 emperor and 1 courtier. Although the Transcendence continent respected martial arts, if Long Xiaotian could ascend to the throne, as a relative of his mother's side, it would be equivalent to ascending to the heavens in a single step. As the king's cousin, he would naturally receive many benefits in the future. So it's the Hua family. Brothers, come forward. Please take care of me in the Light Dragon dynasty in the future. While the Hua family members were talking arrogantly, a complimentary voice came from the back. Hehe, we're all friends. These are the members of the Lingnan family of Lingnan City, right? Yes, we're from the Lingnan family. We're here to congratulate the second prince on inheriting the position of crown prince. Dozens of middle-aged young men were floating in the air with smiles on their faces. Beside them, 5 or 6 young men, middle-aged men and even old men were talking to the Hua family members warmly. The second prince had inherited the throne, and the clan that benefited the most from it was the second prince's mother's clan. As the tide rises, the boat rises. In the future, the Hua clan would definitely hold great power. Hey, the two in front, which clan are you from? At this moment, the voice of a young man came from behind. Oh? Wang Xian turned his head and looked at the young man from the Lingnan clan. He raised his eyebrows and asked, "What's the matter?" Nothing much. Brother, if you are not in a hurry, please step back for a moment and let the Chinese people stand in front. Is that all right? The young man from the Lingnan family said with a smile on his face. Wang Xian smiled faintly and did not mind it. Sure. Hee young man, you are not bad. Since you are able to attend this ceremony, it means that you have some status. When you come to Lingnan City in the future, I will bring you to have some fun. The young man looked like he was not bad. He patted Wang Xian on the shoulder and praised him. Wang Xian smiled nonchalantly. Although the queue was very long, it was very quick to enter. In just a few minutes there were only a dozen people left. It was obvious that the people from the Lingnan family wanted to curry favor with the Chinese. The group of Chinese people glanced at Wang Xian and did not take it to heart. Everyone, take out the invitation cards for the ceremony. The line was getting shorter and shorter. The voices of a few guards came from the front. Two middle-aged men in armor who were riding on a transcendent level 9 Black Shadow Panther were checking the invitation cards one by one. Around them, there were a row of warriors in black armor who were riding on ferocious beasts. They stood there proudly and looked at the group of people who had entered. Black Armored Cavalry. The second prince's Black Armored Cavalry. There are more than 100 people in total. Each of them is at least at transcendent level rank 7. They are very powerful. The strength of this Black Armored Cavalry is almost comparable to some top battle teams of the Radiant Dragon Dynasty. This Black Armored Cavalry looks arrogant. TSK, I'm really envious. They are the second prince's true confidants. The voices of the Hua clan and the Lingnan clan came from the front. Their faces were filled with envy. Some of the clans in the surrounding Guanglong dynasty were also looking at them with envy and respect. The Hua clan and the Lingnan clan handed over the invitation letters and nodded to the Black Armored Cavalrymen with smiles on their faces. Invitation. Wang Xian and Zhang Fengying walked over and the two Black Armored Cavalrymen spoke as usual. However, when they saw Wang Xian, they were stunned before they could speak. Young Master Wang. The two Black Armored Cavalry soldiers immediately bowed respectfully to Wang Xian. Ha! Ha! This caused the Hua people and the people from the Lingnan family who had just walked in to turn their heads in astonishment. When they saw the Black Armored Cavalry soldiers bow respectfully to the young man who was standing in front of them, their eyes widened even more. Who was he? Young Master Wang, our prince has been looking for you for a long time. He thought that you wouldn't be able to come today. Young Master Wang, let us bring you there. At this moment, two figures flew over from a short distance away. One of them was by Qingshan, who was dressed in a white robe, and the other was Elder Zhu. They came to Wang Xian's side with some respect as well and said with a smile. I had some matters to attend to not long ago, but I just happened to be in time. Wang Xian smiled faintly and said to them. Young Master Wang, let's go. We will bring you in. Bai Qingshan and Elder Zhu extended their hands toward him respectfully. Wang Xian nodded his head and followed them into the room. Who is he? How could he allow Senior Bai and Senior Zhu to bring him in directly? Senior Bai and Senior Zhu are the second prince's true confidants. The two insightful emptiness realm experts who followed the second prince at the very beginning actually treated that young man so respectfully. Who is he? Could he be that brother of the second prince? You mean that young Master Wang who helped the second prince? The hearts of the Hua people and the members of the Lingnan clan turned cold. They were shocked as they watched the two insightful emptiness realm experts personally send the young man over. The surrounding clans of the Light Dragon dynasty also watched this scene in shock. Everyone knew that the second prince could easily take over the position of crown prince because of the help of a young man. Because of that young man, the second prince was able to do so smoothly. Moreover, according to rumors, that young man's connections were very powerful. He knew the daughter of the sect master of the Heavenly Sword sect as well as the major figures in the vast region. Young Master Wang, the prince has instructed that if you come, you will sit here. At the heavenly worship ceremony and the place where the prince was established, there were many viewing platforms. In the center was the place where the king, the important ministers, the royal elders, and the Princess Saturday. Below that was the position of the city lords of the Light Dragon dynasty. At this level, the first position was the position of the Hua people. The Hua people, the clansmen of Long Xiaoyan's mother, had contributed a lot to Long Xiaoyan's ascension to the throne. There were two seats at the front of the Hua people. One was the leader of the Hua people, and the other was a seat specially reserved for Wang Xian. When Wang Xian and the rest arrived, many Hua people had already arrived. Many seats around them were already filled with people. An old man holding a walking stick was already sitting at the front. Behind him were a group of old men and middle-aged men. Their faces were all flushed red. Clearly they were very happy. "Oh, this should be young Master Wang. Haha, please take a seat." The leader of the Hua people stood up with a warm expression and extended his hand to shake Wang Xian's hand. "Hello, this old man should be Long Xiaoyan's grandfather." Wang Xian extended his hand with a smile. Yes, Xiaotian is really lucky to have a brother like you. Come and have a seat." Long Xiaoyan's grandfather invited him enthusiastically. He looked at the seat behind him and said, "Come, Xiaoyang. Your seat is for young Master Wang's friend." Yes. An old man at the back smiled and nodded. He immediately stood up and invited Zhang Fengying. A guest, a real guest. Chapter 1323. 1323. Laughing Sky was the crown prince. Who would object? Who's that young man? How could he sit with the Hua clan leader? No one else could sit with the Hua clan leader besides the second prince's brother. I heard that the second prince became the crown prince today has a lot to do with his brother. What do you think? All the mounts of the second prince were obtained by that brother of his. Without him, the second prince would not have achieved his current achievements so easily. No wonder a young man could sit with the Hua clan leader. Don't you know that? The Hua clan is nothing when it comes to the relationship and background of this brother of the second prince. Even the second prince is weaker. The daughter of the sect master of the Heavenly Sword sect has a close relationship with that young master. Is he that powerful? You can just ask any faction in the tomb of the transvestite and you will know. Wang Xian sat beside the Hua clan leader and chatted with him casually. The city lords and powerful clans of the Guanglong dynasty looked over with curiosity on their faces. The few Hua clan disciples behind them widened their eyes when they saw Wang Xian chatting with their clan leader. They wiped the cold sweat off their foreheads. Fortunately, they didn't act arrogantly in front of this young master earlier. Otherwise it wouldn't be enough even if they were given 2 more lives. At noon, the sacrificial ceremony will begin and the crown prince will be appointed. After that, the crown prince will make an oath. Currently, Xiaotian isn't considered as the crown prince. Only after the oath is made can he be considered as the first successor to the throne. At the front, Long Xiaoyan's maternal grandfather was introducing the next steps to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded slightly at the side. The king, the royal elder council and a bunch of ministers are here. Is it about to start? There are still 10 minutes left before the ceremony. Basically, everyone who came to watch the ceremony has arrived. Almost all the forces in the Luhai region are here. There must be at least tens of thousands of people around. At this moment, sounds of conversation could be heard from the surroundings. Wang Xian looked to the side. A middle-aged man wearing a yellow robe, a crown on his head, and a scepter of light with a dragon head in his hand walked towards the main stage. This was the king of the Light Dragon dynasty. Standing beside the king was a luxurious woman. The woman looked similar to Long Xiaotian. This was Long Xiaoyan's mother. A mother depended on her son. After Long Xiaotian became the crown prince, his mother would become the queen. Grandpa brother Wang Xian. At this moment, Long Xiaotian, who was dressed in a yellow python robe, rushed over from behind. He opened his arms and hugged Wang Xian excitedly. Wang Xian smiled and hugged him. Brother Wang Xian, where have you been for the past half a year? I can't even contact you. Long Xiaotian asked with a smile. I went out to gain some experience. Coincidentally, it happened to be today. After you become the crown prince today, I'm going back. Are you going back? I wonder how long it will take for you to meet me when you get back. Don't worry. I'll be back in a year or 2 at most. Wang Xian revealed a smile on his face and exchanged a few words with him. All right. When you're done with your matters today, you guys can have a good gathering tonight. Go and make some preparations. Long Xiaoyan's grandfather said with a smile on his face. Everyone's gaze was fixed on Wang Xian and the second prince. The second prince, their future king. As for the young man who had such a good relationship with the second prince, his future status was naturally very precious. Let the heavenly worship ceremony begin. At exactly 12 o'clock in the afternoon, a white-haired old man floated in the sky and shouted loudly. Every time the crown prince was appointed, a heavenly worship ceremony would be held. The process of heavenly worship was not complicated. The main purpose of heavenly worship was also to worship the ancestors. Under the leadership of the king, the royal family of the Light Dragon dynasty began to worship. Tens of thousands of people in the surroundings watched the ceremony. The ceremony is over. The crown prince has been chosen. The 9th generation disciple of the Long family, the 9th generation prince of the Light Dragon dynasty, has led his forces to the stage after 2 years of assessment. The Royal Elder Council will assess the development of the princes in the past 2 years. They will choose a prince and make him the crown prince. In the future, he will have the first right to inherit the throne. After the ceremony, the old man who was floating in the sky continued to speak. All princes come on stage. He shouted softly, and the princes who were preparing at the back led their subordinates to the center of the stage. A total of 15 princes participated in this assessment. At that time, the strongest people were the first prince, the second prince, and the 8th prince's group of 7. Ta. The princes led their subordinates, but when Long Xiaotian led his subordinates out, all eyes were on him. He was wearing a yellow robe and stood on the body of a dodo bird. The dodo bird at the first level of the profound void tier flapped its wings and emitted a bright energy. Around him, there were 4 experts at the first level of the profound void tier and 1 at the second level of the profound void tier accompanying him. Behind the group of experts at the profound void tier, the black armored cavalry, riding on black shadow leopards and hell deer, emitted a powerful aura. They held their heads high and followed behind with proud faces. A stark contrast. Compared to the second prince Long Xiaotian's faction, the other 14 princes were no match for him even if they joined forces. Especially after the battle 7 months ago, the other princes no longer resisted and directly returned to the dynasty. Their strength was much weaker than the second prince's. There's no comparison at all. The second prince will undoubtedly inherit the crown prince. The entire Light Dragon dynasty knows that the second prince's position as the crown prince is 100%. However, there's still a need to go through the motions. Why is there a prince missing? Where's that prince? I heard that he went to a dangerous mystic realm in the Light Dragon dynasty. I think it's the 8th prince who was the first to be destroyed by the second prince's brother, Wang Xian. Long Xiaotian is too powerful. 5 insightful void realm experts and 1 insightful void mount. Good boy. In the surrounding area, regardless of whether it was the family forces in the Light Dragon dynasty or the other forces in the Flowing Sea region who came to watch the ceremony, they were all amazed when they saw the second prince's subordinates and power. There was no doubt about the position of crown prince. Humph! How unreconciled. The first prince, Long Xiaotian, the 16th prince, the 22nd prince, and the others looked at Long Xiaotian proudly standing on the dodo bird, and their expressions were extremely ugly. Long Xiaotian's gaze swept across the group of brothers, and a faint smile appeared on his face. He proudly jumped off the dodo bird and stood there with his head held high. After 2 years of investigation and tracking by our Light Dragon Royal Family Stable Regiment, and according to the strength and influence of the princes, we have unanimously decided to appoint the second Prince Xiaotian as the crown prince. Are there any princes, ministers and generals who object? The white-haired elder Long Xiaotian's second grandfather stood up slowly on behalf of the Peace Corps. His gaze swept across everyone around him as he asked indifferently, "Is there anyone who can object?" "Naturally. I object. I, Long Xiaoyan, object." Chapter 1324. 1324, help me ascend to the crown prince position. The princes stood there in an orderly fashion. Behind them were their respective powerful forces. They faced the direction of the Light Dragon dynasty's king and a group of ministers. A few old men from the jury sat in a row, and the white-haired old man stood up and asked everyone. In everyone's eyes, today's crown prince selection was just a formality, a process that had to be gone through. Regardless of whether it was the Light Dragon dynasty or the outside forces, they all had a clear idea of the crown prince's position. That was Long Xiaotian. No crown prince was stronger than him and no one was his match. The crown prince's position was well deserved. Even the white-haired elder of the judging panel didn't object to that sentence. It was just a formality. When he said that, all the princes stood there with ugly expressions. Object? With what object? However, just when everyone thought that it was over, a voice suddenly sounded. I object. I Long Xiaoyan object. This sentence, with a hint of anger and arrogance, directly resounded in the sky. Everyone around was stunned, be it the various major forces of the Light Dragon Dynasty or the people who had come to watch the ceremony. Even the king of the Light Dragon Dynasty on the stage had a surprised look on his face. Everyone looked towards the entrance. That's it. When everyone looked over, their eyes widened and shock appeared on their faces. Even the king of the Light Dragon Dynasty had a surprised look in his eyes. Compared to Long Xiaoyun in the past, he looked much thinner, and his hair looked much longer. However, the confidence and dominance he exuded was dozens of times more than before. Behind him was a group of people, thousands of people. They were wearing aqua blue clothes. Some held scepters in their hands and some held ice swords in their hands. On their chests there was a big word Han. Why are they from the Frost sect? Why are they following the 8th prince? Didn't the 8th prince enter the Origin Light Dragon pool? He actually came out, and judging from the 8th prince's strength, he seems to have made a huge breakthrough. Oh my god, how did the Frost sect get mixed up with the 8th prince? Could it be? The faces of the various factions and families in the Light Dragon Dynasty were filled with shock as they stared at the 8th prince who was walking towards them. Long Xiaotian frowned and looked at Long Xiaoyan. The Frost sect was a powerful sect in the Light Dragon Dynasty. It was not under the control of the Light Dragon Dynasty. The Frost sect was very powerful. At least the Light Dragon Dynasty would not touch them easily. The sect master was at the 4th level of the Insightful Void tier. There were 4 or 5 at the 3rd level of the Insightful Void tier. As for the 1st and 2nd level of the Insightful Void tier, there were more than 30 of them. The Cold sect was located at Mount Han, which was at the border of the Light Dragon Dynasty. The Light Dragon Dynasty had always wanted to subdue it, but the Cold sect had never yielded. But on the surface, the Cold sect was very respectful to the Light Dragon Dynasty, and they did many things to give the Light Dragon Dynasty face. As time passed, the Light Dragon Dynasty did not force the Cold sect to obey. Could the 8th prince of the Light Dragon Dynasty have roped in the people of the Cold sect to fight for the position of Crown Prince? This is interesting. I thought that the 2nd prince would definitely inherit the position of Crown Prince. Who would have thought that an 8th prince would suddenly appear out of nowhere? Some of the forces in the Luhai region who came to observe the ceremony were curious when they saw the 8th prince strolling onto the stage. Xiaoyun, you said that you object? The white-haired elder from the judging panel stared at the 8th prince who had suddenly appeared out of nowhere and asked in surprise. That's right, I object. Long Xiaoyun walked to the front of Wang Xian with a face full of confidence. The position of Crown Prince. In terms of individual strength and the forces under him, he, Long Xiaotian, is inferior to me in terms of 2 years of battle results. As Long Xiaoyan spoke, his gaze was fixed on Long Xiaotian as he roared loudly with a cold face. 8th brother, just because the Frost sect supports you doesn't mean that they are your forces. The true forces are able to obey you and obey your orders. I don't know what agreement you have reached with the Frost sect, but you are obviously not in line with the rules. Long Xiaotian frowned slightly and glanced at the 1,000-odd people of Frost sect with an embarrassed expression. The 1,000-odd people of Frost sect and almost all the experts had been mobilized. The sect master of Frost sect, a group of insightful Emptiness Realm experts, had at least 30 people. Faced with so many experts, Long Xiaotian's expression also didn't look good. He didn't expect that the 8th prince who had entered the Origin Light Dragon Pond would actually directly charge out, and even bring the people of Frost sect with him. However, the support of a powerful force didn't represent one's own force. Ha 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 ha. Long Xiaoyan suddenly laughed wildly when he heard his words. His eyes were full of excitement. Disciples of the Frost sect, listen up. Yes, my lord. He directly raised his arm and shouted. Behind him, under everyone's shocked eyes, including the sect master of the Frost sect, he directly half-knelt on the ground and shouted loudly. What? Long Xiaotian widened his eyes and stared at this scene in disbelief. The few princes beside him also widened their eyes, their faces filled with shock. The Frost sect, this was the Frost sect, a powerful sect that even the Light Dragon Dynasty could not subdue. Now, even the sect master of the Frost sect, a 4th-level profound void martial expert, was kneeling in front of the 8th prince. He was kneeling right there and an expert was kneeling. This represented submission. Otherwise, with his pride and status as an expert, He would never kneel before a weakling. What? Everyone in the Frost sect actually respects the 8th prince. Oh my god, how could the 8th prince subdue the Frost sect? This is simply unbelievable. If the 8th prince really subjugates the Frost sect, then the position of crown prince will belong to the 8th prince. Everyone around, be it the various major powers that had come to watch the ceremony, the royal family of the Light Dragon dynasty, or the various ministers and generals, exclaimed in shock. This Xiaoyun actually subjugated Frigid sect. Aha, this is simply too good, too good. Long Xiaoyun's mother's family, trembled with excitement when they saw this scene. They never expected that their son, who was supposed to die in the Origin Light Dragon pool, would actually return as a king. He led a powerful force and came directly. Some were happy while others were worried. How is this possible? How is this possible? Why would the people of the Frost sect listen to the orders of a little guy? This. Long Xiaoyun's grandfather, who was sitting beside Wang Xian, looked at this scene with an extremely embarrassed expression. His face was filled with disbelief. Everyone from the Hua clan also looked extremely embarrassed. Wang Xian also raised his eyebrows slightly. His eyes were flickering as he stared ahead. People from the Frost sect. Wang Xian was even prepared to destroy the Frost sect before he left. My subordinates from the Frost sect, help me ascend to the position of crown prince. At this moment, Long Xiaoyun's gaze swept across the surroundings. An arrogant expression appeared on his face as he shouted loudly. Yes. A shout filled with majesty directly resounded through the sky. Chapter 1325. 1325 I will kill you today. My cold sect subordinates, help me ascend to the position of crown prince. A roar and a response shook the entire sky above the ceremony. Tens of thousands of people stared dumbfoundedly as more than 1,000 cold sects experts stood behind Long Xiaotian, sweeping their imposing auras over everyone. On the stage, all the prince's hearts trembled, including Long Xiaotian's. He looked at the experts of the Frost sect, tightly clenching his fists. This was simply not on the same level. The Frost sect had existed for thousands of years, possessing a historical foundation that was not inferior to the Light Dragon dynasty. Who could resist such a powerful sect submitting to the 8th prince? Long Xiaotian was very strong and his subordinates were also very powerful. However, compared to the Frost sect there was a huge difference. In fact, the two parties were not even on the same level. The other party was more than 30 insightful emptiness realm experts. On the stage, a group of important ministers and generals of the Light Dragon dynasty, as well as a few elders of the jury, were also shocked when they saw this scene. If Long Xiaoyun inherited the position of crown prince, Han Zong would be the power of the Light Dragon dynasty. This was a huge benefit to the Light Dragon dynasty. The position of crown prince tests one's strength, influence, and results. Long Xiaotian, just now you were the heir of the crown prince. Now, I want to challenge you. Come, let's compare our strength, influence, and results. Do you dare? Long Xiaoyun stared at Long Xiaotian, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. He stared at Long Xiaotian with an ice-cold gaze. He raised his head slightly and looked at Long Xiaotian as if he was looking down on him. Long Xiaotian looked at Long Xiaotian looking down at him so arrogantly. He clenched his fists tightly and his expression was extremely ugly. On the stage, the eyes of the king of the Light Dragon dynasty flashed when he saw this scene. He did not say anything. Below, regardless of whether it was Long Xiaoyun or Long Xiaotian, they were both his sons. Regardless of which son was outstanding, he was very happy. The position of crown prince was held by those who had the strength. The 8th prince had a great opportunity, so this position was the 8th prince's. Come, let's have a competition of strength first. I can let you bring your level 1 profound void tier pet. Long Xiaoyun raised his head and pointed at Long Xiaotian as he said proudly. 8th brother, you are too arrogant. Long Xiaoyun's expression was ugly as he stared at Long Xiaoyun with sparkling eyes. Haha, arrogant. Of course you can be arrogant if you have the strength. 2nd brother, you were also very arrogant back then. I support 8th brother. As for the position of prince, those who have the strength will occupy it. Then let's compete in strength, influence, and results. I also support 8th brother. Back then, how arrogant were you and that Wang Xian brat? He actually attacked us directly. That's right. Back then you killed 8th brother and all of our subordinates. Today it's your turn. Before Long Xiaoyun could reply, the first prince, the 16th prince and the 22nd prince who were standing at the side, approached him with sparkling eyes. They stared at Long Xiaotian and said coldly. 7 months ago Wang Xian had slapped them in the face in public. However, Long Xiaochen and the rest had always held a grudge against him. However, Wang Xian was powerful. Furthermore, the second prince wanted to inherit the position of the crown prince. There was no hope for him to take revenge. However, they never expected that the 8th prince would lead a terrifying force to descend directly and crush Long Xiaotian. This made them extremely happy. Furthermore, this was the best time to build a good relationship with the 8th prince. From the perspective of his terrifying force, the future throne would belong to the 8th prince. Alright. Let's fight then. I want to see what kind of opportunity you have obtained by entering the Origin Light Dragon Pool. Do you really think that I, Long Xiaotian, am afraid of you? With a gloomy face, he jumped onto the dodo bird and stared coldly at Long Xiaoyun. Haha, fine. Long Xiaoyun waved his hand, and the experts of the Frost sect behind him immediately retreated dozens of meters. Long Xiaochen and the other princes also hurriedly retreated to their surroundings. Second brother, 8th brother, stop right there. On the stage, the king of the Light Dragon dynasty said in a deep voice with an expressionless face. It's father. I definitely won't hurt second brother. Long Xiaoyun respectfully cupped his hands and said with a face full of confidence. This 8th prince is so confident. You should know that Long Xiaotian has a level 1 insightful void realm mount, the dodo bird. Yeah, could it be that his strength is even stronger than the dodo bird? What kind of powerful opportunity did this 8th prince obtain in the Origin Light Dragon Pond? Everyone looked at the 8th prince and the second prince on the stage in shock. After the 8th prince's subordinates were all killed by Wang Xian, they entered the Origin of Light Dragon Pool in anger. There was a slim chance of survival in the Origin of Light Dragon Pool. However, the ancestors of the Light Dragon Empire did rise up because of the Origin of Light Dragon Pool. Everyone focused their attention on the area below. They wanted to see how much the 8th prince's strength had increased. What kind of opportunity had he obtained? Second brother, I'll call you second brother in the end. Kiki, I'm going to make my move. Long Xiaoyun raised his head slightly and looked at Long Xiaotian as he spoke arrogantly and contemptuously. Even though Long Xiaotian was riding on the insightful void mount, he still did not put it in his eyes. Long Xiaoyun, don't be arrogant. Long Xiaotian looked at his contemptuous expression and a trace of anger appeared on his face. His body moved, and the dodo bird he was riding directly emitted a dazzling white light. Numerous sharp white wings attacked him directly. Kiki, you're too weak. Don't think that you can become a prince just because of that Wang Xian. In my opinion, all of you are useless. Long Xiaoyun's eyes were extremely cold when he saw the wings of light attacking him. Die. He stood there and didn't move at all. He waved his arm. A pale light claw, directly attacked the dodo bird under Long Xiaotian. The wings of the dodo bird immediately collapsed when they collided with the claw. The pale light claw instantly entered the body of the dodo bird. Chirp, chirp, chirp. A shrill cry instantly resounded through the entire sky. The dodo bird, which was flying in the air, instantly died. What? How is this possible? Long Xiaoyun, who was standing on the dodo bird, did not even have time to react. He stared blankly at the dodo bird that had lost its vitality in an instant. No, this is a level 1 insightful void realm dodo bird, this. He widened his eyes and his body fell downwards. In the midst of losing his soul, his body staggered slightly. Oh my god, how is this possible? A level 1 insightful void realm dodo bird was killed in an instant. 8th prince. What kind of strength is this? He killed the insightful void beast in an instant. The 8th prince's strength is at least at the 2nd rank of the insightful void realm, or even higher. How is this possible? How is this possible? What kind of opportunity did the 8th prince obtain to possess such powerful strength? This strength is simply heaven-defying in the younger generation. When everyone in the surroundings saw the battle that ended in an instant, their eyes widened in disbelief. Instant kill. Instant end. On the stage, some of the important ministers and generals of the Guanglong dynasty even stood up in shock. You're just a piece of trash, even if you have a pet of the first level of the see-through void tier. Long Xiaoyun looked down at the dazed Long Xiaotian in front of him coldly. His gaze suddenly turned towards the position on the stage. His gaze was filled with killing intent as he stared at Wang Xian. Next, it's a competition of forces. Without the help of the people from the Frost sect, I alone can destroy all of your forces. You Wang Xian, get down from there. Long Xiaotian is able to reach this stage because of you. The reason why I am able to reach this stage is all because of you. Haha, didn't you say that you wanted to help him become the crown prince? Today I will kill you. Chapter 1326. 1326. The true identity of the nameless sword demon. Today I'm going to kill you. A domineering voice reverberated in the sky above the entire Guanglong Island. The eighth prince, Long Xiaoyun, stood in the middle and stared at Wang Xian coldly. Beside him, the first prince, Long Xiaochen, bowed his head while Long Xiaotian stood there with an ugly expression. Upon hearing the eighth prince's domineering words, Long Xiaotian raised his head and stared at him. Long Xiaoyun, don't you dare. Haha. Upon hearing his voice, Long Xiaoyun looked at Long Xiaotian with disdain. A defeated opponent has no right to threaten me. I, Long Xiaoyun, will definitely avenge the humiliation from that day. I will give you 3 seconds to get down from here. Otherwise. He looked at Wang Xian again and said coldly. Hiss. When everyone around felt the invincible stance of the eighth prince, they took a deep breath. A few months ago, all the subordinates of the eighth prince were killed by the second prince's brother, Wang Xian. Today the eighth prince who entered the Origin Light Dragon Pool is going to take revenge. At that time the eighth prince was extremely humiliated. Now that he has the strength, he naturally has to take revenge. That Wang Xian is not weak either. He is at least at the first level of the see-through realm and has 2 ferocious beasts at the first level of the see-through realm. First level of the see-through realm? Ferocious beasts? With the eighth prince's strength, he should be able to kill them in an instant. Just now, the second prince's mount was killed in an instant. The eighth prince did not show his true strength at all. This Wang Xian is doomed. Not only is the eighth prince extremely powerful, but the Frost sect is also extremely terrifying. Don't forget about the connections of that Wang Xian. The eighth prince might not dare to kill him. When everyone around saw this scene, their faces were filled with astonishment. Their eyes were flickering as they watched this scene. Wang Xian looked at the eighth prince who was provoking him. He had a look that said that he was determined to kill him. A cold expression appeared in his eyes. He stood up slowly and swept his gaze across the eighth prince and everyone from the cold sect. Little brother Wang Xian. Long Xiaoyun's grandfather looked worried when he saw Wang Xian standing up. The few elders from the judging panel frowned slightly when they saw this scene. They were naturally very clear about Wang Xian's connections. The daughter of the sect leader of the Heavenly Sword sect had confessed to him. The young master of the top family in the vast region had a close relationship with him. If the eighth prince really killed Wang Xian, it would cause some unnecessary trouble or even a crisis. It's a simple sparring session. Don't overdo it. The white-haired elder pondered for a moment and said to the eighth prince below. Don't overdo it. Long Xiaoyun raised his eyebrows. Soon after, a ferocious smile appeared on his face. The winner becomes the king and the loser becomes the bandit. Today no one can stop my determination to kill him. No matter what background and strength he has, he will die. Boom. Long Xiaoyun raised his head. His eyes were filled with endless coldness and aggressiveness, and a terrifying aura was directly emitted from his body. Dazzling white light and terrifying aura soared into the sky from the center. The noon sun instantly dimmed. The entire domain seemed to be centered around Long Xiaoyun. At this moment he was like the chosen one, covering an area of 3 kilometers. What? When the white-haired old man heard the eighth prince's words, his eyes were filled with displeasure. However, when he saw the aura that Long Xiaoyun erupted from below, he was completely stunned. This aura? He widened his eyes and looked at Long Xiaoyun, who was like the chosen one, with a face full of shock. This is such a terrifying aura. Oh my god, this is 3rd level of the void interpretation stage. It's definitely 3rd level of the void interpretation stage. How is this possible? How can the 8th prince have such terrifying strength? Unbelievable, it's really unbelievable. How old is the 8th prince this year? He actually reached 3rd level of the void interpretation stage. The bodies of everyone around trembled. Tens of thousands of people could not help but stand up and stare at Long Xiaoyun in disbelief. Third level of the Profound Void tier. This was the third level of the Profound Void tier. To reach the third level of the Profound Void tier at the age of the 8th prince, this was a heaven-defying move. What kind of opportunity did Xiaoyun obtain? The king of the Light Dragon dynasty's pupils also slightly contracted, his eyes filled with shock and excitement. Third level of the Profound Void tier, 8th brother has actually reached the third level of the Profound Void tier. Among the group of princes, the strongest Long Xiaochun's eyes were filled with shock, his body could not help but tremble. Under his imposing manner, the other princes had the urge to kneel down. Long Xiaotian looked at the figure in front of him. His face was filled with despair. It's over. It's completely over. In the future I, Long Xiaoyun, will ascend to the peak of the Luhai region. In the future I will kill anyone who stands in my way. If God stands in my way, I will kill God. Long Xiaoyun waved his arm. A long sword that was emitting a dazzling white glow appeared in his hand. 3 seconds are up. Die. Long Xiaoyun stared at Wang Xian, who was standing there with contempt. The long sword in his hand attacked Wang Xian directly. Contempt, disregard, everything was revealed. A dazzling light shot toward Wang Xian. Wang Xian revealed an indifferent expression. Be careful. Long Xiaoyun's grandfather wanted to help Wang Xian to defend. Clang. However, at this moment, a black sword appeared in Wang Xian's hand. He gently pulled out the demon-free sword. The hilt of the sword blocked Long Xiaoyun's grandfather, who wanted to help him. He smiled at the old man. The power on the demon-free sword shook slightly. Bang! An invisible force collided with the bright light. The bright light disappeared immediately. Oh! Haha, as expected of someone who can help Long Xiaotian ascend to the position of crown prince. He has some strength. Long Xiaoyun laughed out loud when he saw Wang Xian blocking his attack. I've said it before. I'll help brother Long Xiaotian ascend to the position of crown prince. I, Wang Xian, will definitely fulfill my words. Wang Xian stared at Long Xiaoyun with an indifferent smile on his face. His body moved slightly and he flew directly towards the arena. Everyone around them watched this scene in silence. The judges and the king of the Light Dragon Empire did not say anything. The strength and influence that Long Xiaoyun displayed was simply too terrifying. Even the entire empire had to consider his feelings. No one said anything. With just you cannot even protect yourself and still dare to be arrogant. Long Xiaoyun's expression turned cold when he heard his words. I will definitely kill you within 3 moves. As he spoke, he slowly raised the long sword of light in his hand and stared at Wang Xian with contempt. With the 8th prince's strength, he might be able to kill him in less than 3 moves. If Wang Xian doesn't have any heaven-defying treasures on him, he would be able to kill him in 1 move. Everyone looked down and thought to themselves. The 8th prince's strength was too terrifying. Die. Long Xiaoyun shouted loudly and slashed out with the sword of light in his hand. 3 moves, that's a little too much. Wang Xian stared at Long Xiaoyun without the slightest fluctuation in his eyes. He waved his arm and a black beam that everyone was familiar with came forward to receive it. Chapter 1327. 1327 Nameless Sword Demon's True Identity. Black light, dark black light. This was not the darkness attribute black light. This was the heaven deceiver pearl's black light. The black light went straight for Long Xiaoyun's long sword of light. The long sword formed by the light attribute instantly collapsed, and the black light continued to attack forward. What? The power that was as hot as a hot knife through butter, that strange black light, and the long sword of light that was instantly destroyed, caused Long Xiaoyun to be stunned, and a stunned expression appeared on his face. Looking at the black light that contained a terrifying amount of energy attacking towards him, his expression changed slightly. King of Light Sword. His expression became ugly, and he held the attack with both hands, and a 1,000-meter-long sword of light attacked the black light. Boom! A terrifying explosion was heard. The 1,000-meter-long sword of light collided with the black ray and collapsed instantly. The black ray seemed to have consumed all its energy and dissipated slowly. Silence, a deathly silence. Long Xiaoyun widened his eyes and stared at Wang Xian in disbelief. His move actually required him to block it with all his strength. Moreover, he had blocked it twice. When everyone around saw this scene, they were also stunned. Long Xiaoyun was at level 3 of the see-through realm. To think that he only managed to break Wang Xian's one move after two moves. Black Longsword, Black Sword Ray. He is the nameless sword demon. Suddenly, at a corner of the viewing platform, an expert at level 2 of the see-through realm stood up with a face full of shock and shouted loudly. His gaze was fixed on Wang Xian and his form was a little crazy. He was the nameless sword demon. He was the nameless sword demon. The last 6 words echoed in everyone's ears. Everyone stared blankly at Wang Xian, who was standing there calmly. Slowly they began to overlap with a figure in their minds. It was a black sword with a special black light attack. The terrifying strength of the nameless sword demon. He was the nameless sword demon. He was the one who easily killed Qian Yi, the top ranker of the Heaven's Pride role, on the Heaven's Pride stage. He was the supreme prodigy who caused the king beasts of the demonic beasts clan to tremble. Wang Xian is the nameless sword demon. He is the supreme prodigy. Is this his real identity? So, he is the nameless sword demon, the supreme prodigy. All the young and middle-aged men looked at Wang Xian with admiration and respect. The 2 titles, the nameless sword demon and the supreme prodigy, were earned by him with his powerful strength. He was a true prodigy. Everyone in the Luhai region had no choice but to submit to him. No one expected that they would find out his real identity today. A few days ago, the nameless sword demon single-handedly killed a group of Frost Sect experts in one move in the main hall of the main hall. He even killed more than 20 demon beasts of the insightful void tier in one move, including 7 to 8 demon beasts of the second level of the insightful void tier. Some people said that the nameless sword demon's strength was at least at the 3rd level of the insightful void tier. The insightful void tier expert who had just cried out in surprise stared at Wang Xian's figure while mumbling. That day he witnessed with his own eyes how the nameless sword demon killed more than 20 demonic beasts in an instant in the main hall. That invincible look was deeply etched in his mind. Nameless sword demon, you are actually the nameless sword demon. Long Xiaoyun's arm that was holding the long sword of light trembled slightly as he stared at Wang Xian with an unsightly expression. He had naturally heard of the name of the nameless sword demon. The number 1 person since ancient times. Brother Wang Xian is actually the nameless sword demon. A glimmer of hope appeared in Long Xiaoyun's eyes. However, very soon, when he saw the group of people from the Frost Sect behind him, his expression turned gloomy again. The nameless sword demon, huh? The supreme prodigy? Then I, Long Xiaoyun, will really challenge him today. Let me see how powerful the so-called supreme prodigy is. Slowly, a strong fighting spirit appeared on Long Xiaoyun's face. He was Wang Xian, who had a cold gaze. You are not qualified. Wang Xian stared at Long Xiaoyun and smiled. His face was filled with disdain. He waved his arm and an attack that was filled with destruction instantly charged at him. You are too arrogant. Long Xiaoyun held the long sword of light tightly. A dazzling white light shot out from his body. Dharma idol, deathly light. The milky white light changed into a pale white color. A deathly aura condensed into long swords. These long swords seemed to be made of bones and were extremely cold. Deathly radiance was the powerful aspect that Long Xiaotian had mastered. Faced with such a terrifying opponent like the nameless sword demon, he became completely serious. Trash. Wang Xian stood there after he swung his sword. Looking at the aspect that he had executed, there wasn't the slightest fluctuation. The deathly silent sword of light was like a lethal weapon that came from a corpse. It attacked the 1,000-meter-long black ray that Wang Xian had swung. The Dharma idol was corporeal. Pale white swords of light tore towards the black ray. Bang, bang, bang. Annihilation. Annihilation. What? When Long Xiaoyun saw that his Dharma idol was rapidly collapsing, an ugly expression appeared on his face. Buzz. In the next moment, the black light that covered an area of 1,000 meters and was filled with a destructive aura suddenly sped up. The Dharma idol's deathly silent light was instantly crushed. How is this possible? How is this possible? Seeing that his Dharma idol was about to collapse, Long Xiaoyun widened his eyes. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Young master, be careful. The black light smashed towards the dazed Long Xiaoyun. A bald old man standing at the back had a cold glint in his eyes. He moved his body and appeared in front of Long Xiaoyun in an instant. Roar. A roar was heard. The bald old man let out a loud roar and an ice lion about 100 meters in size charged at the black ray of light. Bang bang. The ice lion shattered the black ray of light. It floated in the sky like a living creature and stared at Wang Xian coldly. This Long Xiaotian couldn't withstand 2 moves from Wang Xian. Oh my god. The sect master of the Frost sect has made his move. Long Xiaotian couldn't withstand 2 moves from the Nameless Sword Demon. Oh my god, the Nameless Sword Demon is getting more and more terrifying. The Nameless Sword Demon is a supreme genius who can kill more than 20 demonic beasts with a wave of his hand. Even though Long Xiaoyun has obtained a great opportunity, the gap between him and the Nameless Sword Demon is still huge. But now the sect master of the Frost sect has intervened. This is a top-notch expert who has lived for more than 2,000 years. If no one helps Wang Xian, he might be in danger. The 8th prince will definitely not let him off. When everyone around saw Wang Xian defeating the 8th prince in 2 moves, their faces were filled with shock. However, when they saw the sect master of the Frost sect suddenly charging over, all of them frowned. If the Frost sect wanted to deal with the Nameless Sword Demon Wang Xian, then Wang Xian would be in danger. People from the Frost sect. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Nameless Sword Demon, we meet again. The bald old man stared at Wang Xian in astonishment. His eyes were sparkling. I didn't kill all of you last time. This time I can exterminate all of you from the Frost sect. Wang Xian raised his head slightly and his tone was filled with killing intent. The moment he said that, the entire place was in an uproar. Chapter 1328. 1328 versus the 4th level of the Void Interpretation stage. What is Wang Xian talking about? He wants to destroy the entire Cold sect. The Nameless Sword Demon is not afraid of the Cold sect at all. Moreover, from their conversation, the sect master of the Cold sect had fought with the Nameless Sword Demon before. Clearly there was no victor. How strong is the Nameless Sword Demon? He is only 26 years old this year and he is able to fight against a 4th level of the Void Interpretation stage. How are we supposed to survive? Everyone around heard Wang Xian's words. I didn't kill all of you last time. This time I will exterminate everyone in your Cold sect. There was an uproar. Shock. Initially, everyone thought that the 2nd prince, Long Xiaotian, was at the end of his rope and the 8th prince had risen to power. However, no one expected that. The Wang Xian who wanted to help the 2nd prince ascend to the position of crown prince actually had another identity, the Nameless Sword Demon. One of them was a young and invincible expert who had fought with the sect master of the Frost sect in the main hall. The strength displayed by the 8th prince had already shocked many people. Now the strength and boldness displayed by Wang Xian was even more admirable. He did not lose out to the sect master of the 1,000-year-old Frost sect. What an arrogant brat. You dare to kill the people of our Frost sect. Don't even think about escaping today. The sect master of the Cold sect stared at Wang Xian with a face full of killing intent as he said coldly. Kill him. Kill him for me. I must kill him today no matter what. No matter who he is, I must kill him. Behind the sect master of the Cold sect, the 8th prince Long Xiaoyun shouted loudly while staring at Wang Xian with a ferocious expression. At this moment he was extremely furious. In the past he was forced to enter the Origin Light Dragon Pool because of him. Fortunately, he obtained a huge inheritance and saved the elders of Frost sect who had been trapped in the Origin Light Dragon Pool for 2,000 years. He initially thought that with his inheritance and strength, he would be able to dominate the younger generation in the Flowing Sea region and become a well-deserved Peerless Heaven's favorite. However, he did not expect that the Nameless Sword Demon would be the one who caused him to die tragically in the past. Now that he was defeated so easily, he was furious from embarrassment. He had to die. Don't worry, young master. He must die today. The sect master of the Frost sect stared at Wang Xian with murderous eyes and said coldly. On the stage, the king of the Light Dragon dynasty frowned slightly when he saw his 8 son's hateful gaze. I really didn't expect that Xiao Yun would be able to obtain such an opportunity. I also didn't expect that Xiao Tian would meet such a powerful brother. He muttered to himself and then fell silent. He did not stop Xiao Yun. The important ministers and generals of the Light Dragon dynasty also watched quietly. No one had expected that the competition for the crown prince this time would reach such a stage. However, the one who will ultimately obtain the position of crown prince is still the 8th prince. Everyone in the Light Dragon dynasty thought to themselves. Firstly, the 8th prince was too strong. He was at the 3rd level of the see-through void tier. With his strength alone, the position of the crown prince would be his. Not to mention the Frost sect. It would be difficult for the nameless sword demon to deal with the entire Frost sect. Today I will destroy your Frost sect. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. His gaze swept across everyone from the Frost sect and paused on a skinny old man. Finally, he swept his gaze across Long Xiaoyun as a hint of coldness appeared on his face. Buzz. His body trembled as he opened his mouth slightly. The 5 elements millstone was slowly floating in front of him. Buzz. The sect master of the cold sect stared at the 5 elements millstone in front of Wang Xian with a hint of vigilance in his eyes. At that time, although he had a simple exchange with Wang Xian, the 5 elements millstone had left a deep impression on him. He shook his hands and a long sword crossed with a staff, producing a dull sound. Who would have thought that the selection for the position of the Crown Prince of the Light Dragon Dynasty would trigger a battle between a 4th-level Void Interpretation Stage powerhouse? This is too crazy. All the people who came to watch the ceremony and the 2 people who were preparing for the battle were in a daze. Today I will kill you on behalf of the young master. The sect master of the frigid sect raised his long sword and staff with both hands. The entire world seemed to have frozen in an instant. The temperature dropped by a few hundred degrees. Hee hee. Wang Xian laughed coldly. With a wave of his arm, the 5 elements millstone was directly suspended in the sky. Boom. In an instant, the 5 elements millstone became a radius of 2 kilometers. The 5 elements millstone within a radius of 2 kilometers directly covered the entire sky. Buzz. An invisible energy directly teleported Long Xiaotian out to avoid accidental injuries. Boom. 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 The moment Long Xiaotian was teleported out, the 5 divine dragons on the 5 elements millstone began to gallop slowly. Not good. The white-haired elder from the Light Dragon Empire's expression changed slightly when he saw Wang Xian ignoring the other princes. He moved his body and flew over directly. A wave of energy pulled Long Xiaochen and the other princes out of the battle area. Damn it, this damn fellow. Long Xiaochen and the rest, who were in a state of shock and uncertainty, had ugly expressions on their faces. When they felt the energy of the 5 elements millstone in the sky, they felt a wave of fear in their hearts. 5 elements millstone crush. Roar. 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 Wang Xian shouted loudly. The power of the 5 elements millstone was truly activated. The terrifying power directly crushed the area below. Ice seal for 10,000 miles. Ice God's domain. As he felt the terrifying power in the sky, the sect master of the frigid sect roared with a solemn expression. A vast white space was formed around him. Countless ice seals were blasted towards the 5 elements millstone in the sky. Explode! Wang Xian shouted softly. His gaze focused as the 5 divine dragons on the 5 elements grinding mill revolved. Below him, it was as though the world was about to be destroyed. Boom! 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 The sound of the explosion caused even the surrounding air to be destroyed. Countless ice seals collapsed in this chaotic space. What? Your strength is much stronger than back then. Seeing the ice seal for thousands of miles and the ice god domain exploding in the chaotic space, Sect Master Han Zhong's expression changed slightly. Dharma idol, the ice mountain has descended. He roared and a mountain peak of about 2,000 meters appeared in the sky. He stared at the 5 elements millstone with a cold gaze and gritted his teeth. Ram? The 2,000-meter-sized ice mountain crashed towards the 2,000-meter-sized 5 elements millstone. Humph, frigid sect, I will destroy all of you today. Wang Xian's eyes were as sharp as a torch. With a leap, he instantly appeared below the 5 elements millstone. 5 elements millstone, the 5 elements are born together. Rotate ram. He stood below the 5 elements millstone and raised both of his hands. Roar, roar, roar. Above the 5 elements millstone, the divine dragon that was formed from the 5 elements dragon pearl let out a roar that shook the sky. It ran clockwise and the 5 elements interacted with each other. The 5 types of energy began to spin violently. On the other side, the sect master of the frigid sect stood on top of the Dharma idol iceberg. He stared at Wang Xian with a dignified gaze. A collision between a 4th-level void interpretation stage powerhouse. Chapter 1329. 1329 I am the founder of the Frost Sect. Under the watchful eyes of the masses, above the island of the Light Dragon Dynasty. A 2,000-meter deep and terrifying blue iceberg. A dark and terrifying black giant millstone. The sect master of the Frost Sect was standing above the iceberg while the nameless sword demon King Immortal was below the giant millstone. The two extremely terrifying powers slowly began to collide. This? Brother Wuxia, you must be careful. Everyone watched the confrontation between the two top-notch experts in shock. Long Xiaotian revealed a worried look on his face. They are going to collide. Everyone in the surroundings stared at them intently. The two gigantic creatures were colliding slowly. Boom. When the two terrifying powers collided, an earth-shattering sound reverberated through the sky. Ice sparks flew in all directions. It was as though an iceberg in the ocean had collapsed. It was as though the world was coming to an end. The sound spread across a radius of dozens of kilometers. The people who were located in other parts of the tomb of the demi-human stopped at this moment. They looked at the location of the island of the Radiant Dragon Empire in shock. Collapse. Wuxia floated below the Five Elements millstone. He stared at the iceberg coldly. The speed of the entire Five Elements millstone suddenly increased, and its speed increased by several times. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of the millstone collapsing could be heard. The Five Elements millstone was like a holy object that could flow in the long river of time. Could destroy any object. The iceberg was melting bit by bit. Not good. Sect Master Han Zong's expression changed drastically when he saw his Dharma idol collapsing below. Ice seal, defense and attack. He felt the Five Elements millstone that was attacking his body. It was an energy that could destroy everything. He quickly crossed the long sword and staff in his hand. 1,000-meter-long ice arrow shot toward the Five Elements millstone. A blue protective shield surrounded it. Boom. The 1,000-meter-long ice arrow hit the Five Elements millstone, making a sound. However, it didn't leave any traces on it. What kind of attack is this? How can it be so terrifying? The sect master of the Frigid Sect had a drastic change in expression. He moved his body slightly and wanted to hide far away to launch a long-range attack. Five Elements millstone, seal. Wuxia stared at the sect master of the Frigid Sect in front of him. His gaze was slightly focused. But the entire Five Elements millstone trembled slightly. A chaotic force covered the sect master of the Frigid Sect. The speed of the force was so fast that everyone was shocked. The chaotic force covered an area of 2,000 meters and instantly surrounded sect master Han. Soon after, this force began to change. The earth element immediately covered it, followed by the water element, golden light shield, wood coil and fire chain. In an instant, it directly wrapped around sect master Han. Oh no, how can he be so strong? Feeling the Five Elements seal within a 2,000-meter radius, sect leader Han Zong's face was filled with shock. Dharma idol, 0 degrees of the world. He shouted in panic and the surrounding space began to freeze. The entire sky was clearly covered in frost. The sky began to rain ice. Then 0 degrees of the world did not resist the seal of the Five Elements grinding. In fact, the water energy contained within 0 degrees of the world doubled the binding of the water energy. Crack, crack, crack. One after another, the blockade gradually restrained sect master Han completely. Nameless sword demon Wuxia is completely in the upper hand. Sect master Han is actually sealed. Wuxia's strength is so terrifying. So terrifying, so terrifying. He's 26 years old? I don't believe it. Everyone in the surroundings widened their eyes when they saw Wuxia completely suppressing sect master Han. The sect master of the Cold Sect was a top-notch expert who had lived for more than 2,000 years. Now he was actually defeated by a 26-year-old young man. Was this the strength of a supreme heaven's pride expert? Was this the terror of the nameless sword demon Wuxia? We must not let him live. We must not let him live. Long Xiaoyan's eyes flickered when he saw Wuxia's terrifying strength. He must kill him. If he was killed, he would become the strongest heaven's pride expert in the Flowing Sea region. He had to kill him. Die, explode. Wuxia looked at the leader of the Frost Sect who was completely surrounded and shouted softly. Boom. A mushroom cloud appeared in the entire sky. No way the leader of the Frost sect is going to be killed. This? Oh my god, could it be that an expert at level 4 of the see-through void stage is going to be killed by Wang Xian? The mushroom cloud shook the sky and everyone felt the space tremble violently. Everyone opened their mouths slightly. However, at this moment, Wang Xian's pupils contracted slightly. He stared calmly at the figure that suddenly appeared in the middle of the explosion. That is. At this moment, the king of the Light Dragon Empire who had been sitting calmly on the stage suddenly stood up. His face was filled with shock as he stared at the thin figure that suddenly appeared in the middle of the explosion. Kill him. Kill him for me. He must die. Long Xiaoyun's furious roar suddenly rang out. Is Long Xiaoyun crazy? Even the sect master of Cold Sect was killed by the nameless sword demon King Immortal. Yeah, maybe he can't believe the reality before his eyes. But no matter what, the 8th prince's strength and influence are not something the 2nd prince can compare to. The position of crown prince is still his. When the surrounding people heard the 8th prince's sudden roar, they were slightly stunned. Everything that had happened today had shocked them too much. The 8th prince's powerful return, his strength at the 3rd level of the profound void tier. The true identity of the nameless sword demon, the peerless battle between the nameless sword demon and sect master Han Zong. Every single one of them could make them talk for a very, very long time. Look, there's an extra person in the center of the explosion. What's that? What's that situation? Just as everyone slowly recovered from their shock, another shocking voice sounded. Everyone looked over once again, their pupils slightly constricting as they sucked in a breath of cold air. In the middle of the explosion there was an extra person, a thin and weak figure. Beside this figure, the somewhat disheveled sect master Han Zong was bowing towards that figure to express his gratitude. What was going on? What the hell was going on? Everyone felt their scalps go numb. They thought of the 8th prince's roar just now. Could it be that another peerless expert had appeared and was even stronger than the sect master of the frigid sect? This time the position of crown prince will be inherited by the 8th prince, Xiao Yun. Today's matter shall end here. At this moment, the king of the Radiant Dragon Empire who stood up could no longer sit still and announced loudly. Father, it's not over yet. It will only be over after I kill that Wang Xian. Please don't interfere, father. Long Xiaoyun's expression changed slightly when he heard his father's voice. However, he did not show the slightest fear as he bowed and spoke to his father. He had the right to do so. Because that figure was in existence at the 5th level of the see-through void tier. His father was also only at the 5th level of the profound void tier. I am Bing Hanzi, the founder of the Cold Sect. I was trapped in the Origin Light Dragon Pond and saved by the young master. I will kill the person that the young master wants to kill. A voice without any emotion was heard in the air that was slowly dissipating and exploding. Chapter 1330. 1330 Divine Dragon descends into the world. I am Bing Hanzi, the founder of the Frost Sect. I was trapped in the Light Dragon Source Pond and was saved by the young master. I must kill the person the young master wants to kill. A cold and mechanical voice came from the center of the explosion. This voice was not very loud, but everyone felt that this voice seemed to be right beside their ears. It was clear, cold, and emotionless. The smoke from the explosion slowly dissipated, and a clear figure appeared in front of everyone. It was a skinny old man who looked like he was going to die at any moment. There was no sign of life on the old man's body. Coldness and deathly stillness filled his entire body. Hearing the old man's words, everyone was stunned. The founder of the Frost Sect. The Frost Sect was a sect faction of the Light Dragon dynasty. In the past, the strength of the Frost Sect was on par with the Light Dragon King. The reason for this was the existence of the founder of the Frost Sect, Bing Hanzi. Bing Hanzi of the Frost Sect was now a figure from more than 4,000 years ago. Although the lifespan of an insightful emptiness realm expert was 5,000 years, the number of people who could live to 5,000 years old was extremely small. The injuries and hidden dangers of the past 1,000 years, the deaths of those who stepped into dangerous situations in order to seek a breakthrough, the sudden historical changes and so on. This caused the number of experts who could live up to 4,000 to 5,000 years to be very, very few. It was not an exaggeration to call each and every one of those who could live up to 4,000 to 5,000 years old monsters. At present, the Frost Sect had already experienced 7 or 8 generations of sect masters. Now that the founder of the Frost sect, Bing Hanzi, had suddenly appeared, it had shocked everyone. This was especially so for the families and forces of the Light Dragon dynasty. They were well aware of the deeds of the legendary figure in the Light Dragon dynasty, Bing Hanzi. Bing Hanzi. The king of the Light Dragon dynasty also stared at him in astonishment. Even though he was the king of the Light Dragon dynasty, he was still full of respect and fear for such a legendary figure. He opened his mouth wanting to make his son stop fighting. However, when he saw such a legendary figure, he hesitated for a moment before sitting down with a solemn expression. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for offending Xiaoyun too much. I didn't expect that Xiaoyun would make such a strong person respected. What a pity, the supreme chosen, the nameless sword demon. He sighed in his heart. The most outstanding Heaven's Pride expert in the Flowing Sea region was helpless against an old monster who had lived for more than 4,000 years. After all, to be able to live for such a long time, his strength and battle experience were terrifying. Even if they were at the same level, it would still be difficult for them to defeat him. What's the point of beating an egg? An old monster who has lived for more than 4,000 years and a 26-year-old? It's over, it's over. From the looks of it, the 8th prince will definitely not let Wang Xian off. This time, the peerless heaven's favorite of the generation may be about to fall. The gap of more than 4,000 years between a 5th-level insightful void martial artist of the older generation and a peerless heaven's favorite of the new generation. When everyone around heard the words Bing Hanzi, they were extremely shocked. Such a legend of the older generation would be considered a top-notch existence in the Luhai region. Brother Wang Xian, leave quickly. Long Xiaotian looked at Bing Hanzi, who descended like a god and demon. His face was filled with despair as he shouted at Wang Xian with a worried expression. Escape? You want to escape? Is that possible? Long Xiaoyun looked at Long Xiaotian with his cold eyes. He stood there arrogantly and looked at everything coldly. She was shocked by Bing Hanzi. He was his subordinate. He was filled with enjoyment. Young master, don't worry. With his strength, he won't be able to escape. Bing Hanzi looked at Wang Xian coldly and said calmly. He didn't put Wang Xian in his eyes at all. Based on the battle just now, it would be easy for him to kill him. As he spoke, he waved his arm and an extremely cold air directly attacked the 5 elements millstone above Wang Xian. Boom! The terrifying cold energy landed on the 5 elements millstone and produced a dull sound. The entire 5 elements millstone flew into the distance. Hee. Wang Xian looked at the pretentious Bing Hanzi and the arrogant Long Xiaoyun who wanted to kill him. With a wave of his arm, the 5 elements millstone that flew out began to shrink and slowly rotated above his head. Hiss, what a huge gap. The sect master of the Frost sect couldn't even shake the huge millstone with his Dharma idol, yet he was easily sent flying by Bing Hanzi. This is not on the same level. Seeing Bing Hanzi's casual attack, everyone's eyes focused and took a deep breath. The founder of the Frost sect. That's perfect. Today I will let you watch the destruction of your Frost sect. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Wang Xian was floating in the sky. There was not the slightest fluctuation on his face. His lips moved slightly and his voice reverberated throughout the entire sky. What? Tens of thousands of people opened their mouths slightly when they saw Wang Xian still saying such words at this moment. Why did he? Long Xiaotian was stunned. He clenched his fists tightly and stared at Wang Xian. Haha, that's good too. I would like to see how strong I am now. Let's use you to test it out. Haha. While everyone was stunned, Wang Xian's voice rang out again. This time it was a maniacal laughter. After the laughter ended, a terrifying aura began to gather on his body. Within a radius of more than 10 kilometers, an inexplicable imposing manner began to gather. Roar, roar. At this moment, an inhuman roar sounded from his mouth. The voice was loud and clear, filled with an inexplicable imposing manner. Under everyone's dumbfounded gaze, Wang Xian, who was still in his human form a moment ago, turned into a terrifying 50-meter-long divine dragon. His huge body and terrifying aura. Every piece of dragon scale was shining with a luster. His horns were like a deer, his head was like a camel, his eyes were like a rabbit, his neck was like a snake, his stomach was like a clam, his scales were like a fish, his claws were like an eagle, his palms were like a tiger, and his ears were like an ox. The Chinese divine dragon, the dragon race of the universe. His real appearance was in the flowing sea region. Under the gaze of everyone, Wang Xian swayed his huge body. His pair of majestic dragon eyes stared coldly at Bing Hanzi and the sect leader of the Frost sect who was beside him. I've said it before. I want to destroy the Frost sect. First, I'll kill the sect leader of the Frost sect. Wang Xian spoke in human language. Under everyone's stunned gazes, the 5 elements millstone above his head recovered to a size of 2,000 meters at a terrifying speed. Following that, Wang Xian swayed his divine dragon body and charged forward with the 5 elements millstone. The divine dragon swayed. Divine might descended. 5 elements millstone, obliterate. The dragon scales on Wang Xian's body flickered with a 5-colored glow. At this moment he was a 5-colored divine dragon. A wave of obliterated energy covered an area of 2 kilometers in front of him. Bing Hanzi, who was standing in front of him, saw a wave of energy that was filled with violence as if it was going to destroy the world. His extremely cold and indifferent expression finally changed. His pupils bulged and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Ka. His body moved and a dazzling blue light appeared around him. The blue light turned into a deep ice block that covered his entire body. His entire body directly expanded by 10 meters. He completely couldn't care about sect leader Han Zong beside him. No, how could it be this creature? Run. Sect Master Han Zong looked at the world-destroying energy in front of him as it streaked across the sky, and he cried out in terror. Wang? However, as the energy swept past, his body stiffened and he slowly trembled. The final life force, the terrifying creature that he had seen back then in the main hall appeared in his mind. Chapter 1331. 1331 Above the 5th level of the void severing stage. Wang. In the sky above the island, within a radius of 10 kilometers, a gray energy that covered an area of 2 kilometers pushed forward horizontally. This gray energy was like the long river of history, destroying everything in front of it. The first to bear the brunt was Sect Master Han Zong. In this long river of history, his body quickly lost its vitality. His corpse floated unconsciously in the long river. The power of the gray river rushed towards Bing Hanzi. At this moment, Bing Hanzi's body was covered in 10-meter-tall ice armor. Seeing the sect master of Frost Sect's vitality instantly disappear in the long river, his eyes were filled with a solemn expression. Crack. Ice armor god. With a light shout, the ice armor on Bing Hanzi's body enlarged once more, and his Dharma idol was unleashed. Layers of dazzling blue ice armor covered the ice armor god, and it was 30 meters long. Standing in the center, Bing Hanzi waved his skinny arm, and the ice armor god outside did the same thing, facing the gray river of annihilation. Crack. A trembling sound was heard continuously. The grayish energy quickly washed away the god of ice armor on his body. My god, that is... What kind of creature is that? Nameless sword demon? Wang Xian? A terrifying creature? Isn't that the terrifying creature in the main hall? At that time, this terrifying creature swallowed the demon-tailed viper at the 4th level of the void interpretation stage. My god, this creature is actually Wang Xian. The sect leader of the Frost sect was killed in an instant. He fought against the founder of the Frost sect, Bing Hanzi, who was at level 5 of the void interpretation stage. What is his identity? A proud son of heaven. A supreme son of heaven. The nameless sword demon. The terrifying creature in the main hall. One by one, the names that everyone looked forward to and even feared were all gathered on one person. Looking at the 50-meter-tall creature, everyone was shocked. The appearance of Frigid Sect, the terrifying strength of the 8th Prince, and the appearance of Bing Hanzi had already shocked everyone. Although in the end he was suppressed by one person with multiple identities. Looking at the 50-meter-tall creature and the 20-meter-tall Bing Hanzi floating in the sky, everyone's emotions couldn't be any higher. They were shocked to the extreme. Now everyone was staring at the sky silently. Long Xiaotian's mother, and even his mother's clansmen looked at Wang Xian, who was dominating the world, with excitement on their faces. This time, even if Long Xiaotian could not obtain the position of Crown Prince, no one would dare to provoke him in the Radiant Dragon Empire in the future. After all, he had such a terrifying brother. If not for the appearance of Wang Xian with the 8th prince's hatred towards him, Long Xiaotian would definitely not be having an easy time. The entire Hua clan would also suffer a huge blow. What? Sect Master Han Quan? Sect Master Han Quan actually. At this moment, the 8th prince looked up at Wang Xian in the sky in a daze. Looking at the corpse of Sect Master Han, his eyes widened and were filled with shock. A 4th-level void interpretation expert was killed in an instant just like that? His body was trembling and his eyes were slightly red. Old thing, I hope you won't run away from me. Wang Xian swayed his body and looked at Bing Hanzi, who was resisting the destructive energy of the 5 elements millstone. His dragon eyes stared at him coldly. Earlier, Bing Hanzi had arrogantly said that Wang Xian couldn't escape. Now he would return the words. With his current strength, the 5 elements millstone coupled with his divine dragon body, it would be easy for him to fight someone 5 levels above him. After he finished speaking, he moved his body and attacked Bing Hanzi directly. No matter what kind of creature you are, I will definitely kill you today. Bing Hanzi stood in the middle of the ice armor god. He stared at Wang Xian with an extremely cold gaze. Dharma idol, god of ice wings. Dharma idol, god of ice sword. He roared twice consecutively and 2 wings that were 50 to 60 meters long appeared behind him. In addition, an ice sword that was 60 to 70 meters long appeared in his hand. Both the wings and the huge sword emitted a terrifying blue luster. It looked extremely terrifying. Slash. He flapped his wings slightly and his body drew a ray of blue light. In an instant he appeared in front of Wang Xian. The huge sword that was 60 to 70 meters long slashed directly at Wang Xian's body. Dragon's tail. Wang Xian's expression didn't change. The huge dragon's tail flickered with blazing flames as it swept directly at the huge sword. Bang! The sound of metal colliding could be heard. Wang Xian's body flew backward for more than 1,000 meters. Die. The figure of Bing Hanzi, who had used 3 divine abilities consecutively, did not change at all. He flapped his wings again and appeared beside Wang Xian in a flash. He held his huge sword with both hands and slashed at Wang Xian directly. 5 elements millstone, the ultimate of earth. Wang Xian looked at Bing Hanzi, who appeared beside him in an instant. His gaze focused. The 5 elements millstone in the sky spun and collided directly with Bing Hanzi. The 5 elements millstone could destroy, heal, trap, and defend. Similarly, the 5 elements could combine to bring one attribute to the extreme. The 5 elements revolved the extreme of earth. Boom. The 5 elements millstone, which was emitting dust aura, was like a planet as it charged straight at the ice sword god. A terrifying loud sound rang out and shook the entire space. This was completely a contest of strength. Boom boom boom. Bing Hanzi held the ice sword god in his hand as he attacked the 5 elements millstone. One attack after another landed on the millstone, and the 5 elements millstone was as stable as Mount Tai. Streams of air currents rushed out in all directions. Those who were weaker had already started to defend, and their faces were filled with fear as they looked up at the battle in the sky. Hiss, what a terrifying collision. Everyone stared at them vigilantly, afraid that an aftershock would land on them. With the aftershock from the battle between Wang Xian and Bing Hanzi, even an expert at the first level of the see-through realm would be able to kill him directly. Ice wings pierce. After slashing the 5 elements grindstone a few hundred times in a row, not only did his terrifying defense fail to send him flying, but his body was also forced to retreat under the extreme pressure of the earth. Bing Hanzi let out a loud roar. The gigantic ice-winged god aimed at the 5 elements millstone. Numerous sharp ice spikes that were 10 meters long pierced straight at it. Boom, boom, boom. The continuous sounds of explosions rang out. The entire 5 elements millstone was trembling slowly. It's about time. Roar. Sensing Bing Hanzi's terrifying attacks, Wang Xian let out a loud roar. With a dragon's roar, the 5 elements millstone spun slowly. It became smaller and smaller until it became 2 meters in size. It entered Wang Xian's stomach directly. Kill? He let out a low roar that was filled with endless killing intent. It could be seen with the naked eye that the dragon scales on his body and the 5 divine dragon silhouettes of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth were swimming back and forth. After the 5 elements millstone fused into his body, Wang Xian moved his dragon tail which contained violent energy. He charged directly at Bing Hanzi. Chapter 1332. 1332, below the fifth level of the void interpretation stage. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon's tail swept across and a series of terrifying explosions erupted in the sky. Even though the dragon's tail had yet to land on Bing Hanzi's body, the explosions were already deafening. What? Sensing Wang Xian's terrifying dragon's tail, Bing Hanzi's expression changed slightly. With a wave of his arm, a long sword that was 60 to 70 meters long slashed directly at the dragon's tail. Bang bang bang. Obviously, the sound of breaking could be heard. Cracks appeared on the ice sword. Dragon claw. Wang Xian did not hesitate at all. A huge dragon claw clawed towards the center of the ice armor god. At the center of the dragon claw, waves of violent energy were being destroyed and destroyed. Wang Xian, who had fused with the five elements, had destructive energy in his every move. The pinnacle of the five elements, the reversal of the five elements. God of Ice Wings slash. The huge ice wings slashed directly at Wang Xian's dragon claws. Dragon breath. Wang Xian opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of lava-like flames from his mouth. This time, the lava that he spat out did not disappear immediately after it was spat out. Instead, Wang Xian was like an erupting mountain of flames. The lava surged forward continuously. Water and fire were incompatible. The impact of the lava landed on the ice wings and the ice wings began to melt rapidly. Wang Xian's dragon claws pressed forward and grabbed the chest of the god of ice armor. Explode. Boom boom boom. The explosions at the starting point rang out continuously. Cracks started to appear on the 20-meter-long god of ice armor. Han Bingzi, who was standing in the middle of the ice armor god, had bulging eyes that were bloodshot. Dissolve, retreat. He shouted softly. The spot where Wang Xian attacked turned into a stream of water as he retreated rapidly. Han Bingzi is at a disadvantage. After Wang Xian merged with that terrifying millstone, his strength has increased by a lot. This is too terrifying. Is this the battle of a level 5 void interpretation expert? They are already 10,000 meters high in the sky. Below them, it still gives me a feeling that I can't breathe. Below them, everyone looked up at the battle in the sky. Their faces were all red. In the entire demi-human graveyard, everyone's gaze was focused on the sky above the island of the Light Dragon Empire. They were all in shock. Die. Wang Xian saw Bing Hanzi escaping. He swayed his huge body and rushed over without giving him any time to catch his breath. Bing Hanzi, didn't die even after being trapped in the Radiant Dragon Origin Pond for more than 2,000 years. You're dreaming if you want to kill me. You're the one who's going to die. Bing Hanzi gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. He opened his mouth slightly and a blue ice ball came out from his body. The ice ball was emitting a faint white mist and cracking sounds came from the air. An extreme cold filled an area of dozens of kilometers. Everyone below couldn't help but wrap themselves around their bodies. After the ice ball came out of Bing Hanzi's mouth, Bing Hanzi looked even thinner and weaker. His body was completely wrapped in skin and he looked like a skeleton. His eyes were completely protruding out, making him look extremely terrifying. I knew it. As a monster that lived a few years ago, he definitely has some trump cards. The real battle has only just begun. When everyone below saw the shining ice ball, they all took a deep breath and stared at the sky without blinking. At this moment, Long Xiaoyun and Long Xiaotian were both clenching their fists. No matter who won or lost this battle, it would have a great impact on their forces in the future. Are you going all out? Wang Xian could feel the extreme cold temperature from the ice ball. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. Dharma idol surrounded by icebergs. Bing Hanzi stood in front of the ice ball. He stared at Wang Xian and roared. Surrounded by icebergs, another powerful Dharma idol. With the 3 broken Dharma idols on his body, this was his 4th Dharma idol. Crack, crack, crack. As soon as he finished his sentence, the ice ball emitted rays of blue light. Around him, icebergs that were 1,000 meters in size appeared out of thin air. There were a total of 5 icebergs. The 5 icebergs guarded Bing Hanzi above. The ice ball bloomed and stood a few thousand meters in the sky. At this moment, Bing Hanzi was like an ice god. Good. This will be interesting. Since that's the case, let's have the strongest collision. Wang Xian stared at Bing Hanzi who was standing above the 5 icebergs with a fiery gaze and laughed out loud. Aspect, 5 Elemental Grindstone. 5 Elemental Grindstone was the aspect that Wang Xian comprehended when he reached the first level of the Void Interpretation stage. It was also a weapon that he forged with the 5 Elemental Dragon Pearl, the 5 Elemental Origin, and the immense 5 Elemental Energy. The moment the 5 Elements Grindstone Dharma idol appeared, an enormous grindstone appeared beneath Wang Xian. Wang Xian stood at the center of the grindstone within a range of 2,000 meters. Around him, 5 3 to 4 10-meter-long 5 Elements Divine Dragons were located in 5 different directions. The Divine Dragons guarded him and stood on top of the grindstone. With the augmentation of the 5 Elements energy, Wang Xian's strength increased explosively once again. Bing Hanzi looked at Wang Xian's Dharma idol and felt a little embarrassed. He clenched his yellowish teeth tightly. Fight! At this moment, Wang Xian was dashing on the Dharma idol of the 5 Elements grinding technique. The 5 Divine Dragons were also dashing forward with the 5 Elements grinding technique. Kill? Bing Hanzi's face revealed a ghastly expression. He clenched his teeth and roared loudly. Numerous icebergs attacked Wang Xian directly. Destroy! Wang Xian's gaze was like a torch. Roar! On the 5 Elements millstone, the fire dragon leaped up directly while the other 4 dragons spun the millstone. Under the support of the other 4 dragons, the fire dragon grew larger and larger until it was over 200 meters long. Its terrifying tail swept out directly. Boom! An iceberg instantly collapsed under the fire god dragon's attack. Boom boom! Following that, the second and third icebergs also collapsed. The flames on the fire god dragon's body began to decrease. The chains pulled the fire god dragon back. After that, the earth god dragon leaped up again. Earth countered water. Boom boom! A dragon tail swept out and 2 icebergs instantly collapsed. All the icebergs that guarded Bing Hanzi collapsed. Dharma idol freeze the earth. Seeing that his Dharma idol was easily destroyed, Bing Hanzi's expression changed drastically. With a wave of his arm, the ice ball in front of him smashed towards the 5 Elements grindstone. At the same time, the last Dharma idol was unleashed. Take it. When Wang Xian saw that the ice ball and even the air were sealed, his eyes narrowed and he let out a loud roar. His body slowly turned into a water blue color. The water dragon of the 5 Elements millstone started to expand and directly swallowed the extremely cold ice ball. The entire 5 Elements millstone revolved the water energy to the extreme. The water dragon wrapped the ice ball with the Dharma idol. The ice ball was directly swallowed by the water dragon and the water dragon instantly froze. The frozen ground landed on the 5 Elements millstone and the 5 Elements millstone started to freeze. This is my chance. At this moment, Wang Xian looked at the lone icicle in the sky and leaped up. He opened his huge mouth and swallowed it. Chapter 1333. 1333 The 8th Prince of Must Die. Go. How is this possible? How can he still have strength? When Bing Hanzi, who was floating in the sky, saw Wang Xian charging towards him directly, a hint of fear flashed across his skinny face. He stared at Wang Xian who was flying towards him. With a wave of his hands, ice mountains of 100 meters in size smashed towards Wang Xian. Boom, boom, boom. Wang Xian stared at Bing Hanzi with his dragon eyes. With a gentle wave of his dragon claws, the ice mountains collapsed. Oh no, run! A hint of panic appeared on his face. With a move of his body, he turned around and fled into the distance. Can you escape? Wang Xian opened his mouth and the 5 Elements millstone appeared again. This was not a Dharma idol but a weapon. Boom! The 5 Elements millstone flew out and attacked Bing Hanzi. It grew bigger and bigger in the air and the destructive aura appeared once again. It was as if the long river of time could destroy everything. There's another millstone like this? Is it going to die in the end? Bing Hanzi looked at the 5 Elements millstone that was attacking him from behind. His eyes were a little dim. He stared deeply at Wang Xian and slowly closed his eyes. He had lived for thousands of years and was already worth it. The only thing that made him unwilling was that he wanted to witness his young master becoming an invincible powerhouse. He wanted to witness how Han Zong stood at the peak of the flowing sea region. Now he couldn't see it anymore. Bing Hanzi didn't struggle anymore and closed his eyes. Wang Xian walked forward with his dragon body. With a wave of his dragon claws, he kept his corpse into his interspatial ring. The corpse of a 5th-level insightful void martial artist contained an extremely terrifying energy. Wang Xian swayed his body and looked towards the location of the Dharma idol, the 5 elements millstone. The death of Bing Hanzi did not cause the frozen land to disappear. The energy brought by the terrifying ice ball was still resisting the 5 elements millstone. Roar! Wang Xian let out a roar. Waves of dragon flames were spat out towards the location below. The ice seal melted slowly and turned into water energy. Instead, it was replenished on the body of the 5 elements millstone. The 4 divine dragons of metal, wood, fire, and earth began to revolve. Streams of energy revolved on the body of the water divine dragon that was sealed in ice. The water divine dragon slowly recovered. He opened his mouth and an extremely cold ice ball appeared in his line of sight. Ice Heart, 7th level of the Void Interpretation Stage. 7th level of the Void Interpretation Stage. So it's the terrifying energy of the 7th level of the Void Interpretation Stage. Wang Xian looked at the ice ball and a hint of astonishment flashed across his eyes. But at this moment, the 5 elemental dragon ball transformed into the 5 elemental millstone flew over. The water dragon that was standing on it opened its mouth and swallowed Bing Xn directly. The other 4 divine dragons immediately helped to subdue her. TSK, not only does the 5 elemental millstone contain powerful energy, it also has its own spirituality. It can swallow energy on its own to increase its strength. Wang Xian smiled when he saw the water god dragon slowly subjugating Bing Xn. The core of the 5 elements millstone was these 5 dragon balls, and the dragon balls were Wang Xian's natal artifact. Now, after transforming into the 5 elements millstone, each of the divine dragons was born with spirituality. In the future, it could become a powerful artifact that could think. Furthermore, Wang Xian would not need to nurture them alone in the future for their improvement. With my current strength, I can kill a 5th-level see-through void. Wang Xian landed in the middle of the Dharma idol's 5 elements millstone and revealed a smile on his face. With a thought, he reverted back to his human form. At the same time, the Dharma idol's 5 elements millstone dissipated little by little. The weapon of the 5 elements millstone rotated slowly and turned into a crown that landed on Wang Xian's head. The lifelike 5 elements divine dragon added a little dignity to Wang Xian. A black outfit appeared on his body, crown, and head. Why is there no movement from above? What's the situation now? Is it over? Who will win and who will lose? At the bottom, when Wang Xian's Dharma idol, which covered an area of about 2,000 meters, appeared, everyone below could not see the battle above. Only when the sounds of battle disappeared did everyone mutter. That big millstone is disappearing bit by bit. Could it be that Wang Xian has lost? That's very possible. After all, his opponent is an old monster who has lived for thousands of years. When the 5 elements millstone slowly disappeared, some people exclaimed and shouted loudly. When Long Xiaotian saw this scene, his eyes were filled with despair and his entire body was powerless. Haha, we won. That damn guy finally. Long Xiaoyun looked at the sky and saw Wang Xian's Dharma idol dissipating. He thought Bing Hanzi had won. His face was flushed red as he roared in excitement. However, when he saw a black figure descending towards them, everyone was stunned. That's Wang Xian. It's Wang Xian. Where's Bing Hanzi? Where's Bing Hanzi? Could it be? Soon everyone saw Wang Xian's figure. They widened their eyes and shouted in shock. The new generation of Peerless Heaven's favorites had won the battle between the new and old Peerless experts. As for why there was no sign of Bing Hanzi, everyone had a premonition. He had fallen. What? This is impossible. This is impossible. This is impossible. The 8th Prince, Long Xiaoyin, stared at Wang Xian. He shook his head vigorously and shouted in disbelief. Behind him, the expressions of the people from the Frost sect changed drastically. A hint of fear flashed across their eyes. Haha, we won. Brother Wang Xian won. Compared to the 8th Prince's despair, Long Xiaotian stared at Wang Xian with excitement. Even tears were streaming down his face. Long Xiaoyan's grandfather even raised his fist in excitement. Bam! Wang Xian sat in the middle of the room. He wore a crown on his head and looked at everyone around him arrogantly. An invincible posture. This is the real invincible posture. Wang Xian can be called invincible because he is only 26 years old. To be able to defeat Bing Hanzi at this age is heaven-defying. Even in the entire supernatural continent, he is definitely an invincible powerhouse among the younger generation. This is too cool, too cool. Everyone's gaze was focused on Wang Xian. The admiration of the younger generation. The admiration of the middle-aged generation. The exclamations of the older generation. There was also a hint of reverence mixed within. All kinds of gazes landed on Wang Xian. At this moment, even in the next 100 years. Wang Xian was definitely the most dazzling existence in the Flowing Sea region. I didn't expect this brother Wang Xian to have such great strength at such a young age. I Long Tingyang am deeply impressed. At this moment, the voice of the king of the Radiant Dragon Empire, who was sitting in the middle of the stage, was heard. Everyone was slightly shocked and quickly turned their heads. The king of the Radiant Dragon Empire stood there and cupped his hands as he spoke to Wang Xian. He addressed him as Brother Wang Xian. He addressed Wang Xian as me. He addressed Wang Xian as Long Tingyang. At this moment, the king of the Light Dragon dynasty placed Wang Xian on the same level. Wang Xian also had the right to communicate with him on an equal level. After killing the founder of the Frost sect, Bing Hanzi, there were only a few people in the entire Luhai region who were stronger than him. There were only a few people with a higher status than him. The king of the Light Dragon dynasty was not among them. Chapter 1334. 1334. The eighth prince had to die. I am Wang Xian, Long Xiaoyan's good friend. On the island of the Guanglong dynasty, Wang Xian heard Long Tingyang's words and cupped his hands in greeting as well. The two of them faced each other from afar and greeted each other politely. This was a simple greeting from an expert. Ah, good. It is really an honor for Xiaotian to be able to meet a young talent like brother Wang Xian. Long Tingyang laughed out loud as his eyes sparkled. Just now, Wang Xian was able to kill Bing Hanzi, which left him deeply shocked. He knew that it was impossible for him to kill Bing Hanzi with his strength. If the other party wanted to escape, there was no way for him to stop him. However, Wang Xian was able to kill Bing Hanzi with such ease. His strength was at the peak even among the fifth level of the see-through realm. Following that, he continued loudly, Brother Wang Xian, when you have the opportunity to come to our Guanglong Empire in the future, we will continue to hold the ceremony. Wang Xian nodded his head faintly. He smiled and gestured to the white-haired elder beside him. When everyone saw the equal exchange between Wang Xian and the king of the Guanglong Empire, they sighed in their hearts. The white-haired old man nodded slowly and looked in the direction of Wang Xian. Cough, cough, the ceremony will continue. The white-haired old man coughed lightly and looked at Wang Xian. The sacrificial ceremony has ended. The selection of the crown prince will be evaluated based on the strength, influence, and battle results of all the princes. Now, the decision will be made by our judging panel. As he spoke, he pondered for a moment before looking at the second prince and the eighth prince. All the princes in the surroundings also landed on the two of them. It should be the eighth prince. There's no mistake about the eighth prince. Even if he doesn't have frigid sect, with the eighth prince's strength, he will definitely inherit the position of the crown prince. Although the second prince is the brother of Wang Xian, a top-notch powerhouse, it's still impossible for him to interfere with the position of the crown prince of the Light Dragon Empire. Everyone's gaze fell on the eighth prince once again. Although everything that happened today had shocked everyone, the selection of the prince still had to continue. The eighth prince, Long Xiaoyan, was undoubtedly at level 3 of the see-through realm. The eighth prince, Long Xiaoyan, has inherited the position of the crown prince. He has the right to inherit the throne as the first in line. The second prince, Long Xiaotian, has the right to inherit the throne as the second in line. Furthermore, he has conferred the title of the second prince as the Royal Highness of Dragon Immortal. The white-haired old man's voice rang out. As expected, the eighth prince had inherited the position of the crown prince. On the other hand, the Guanglong royal family had conferred the title of the Royal Highness of Dragon Immortal on the account of Wang Xian. This was the first time in the history of the Guanglong dynasty. Long Xiaoyun accepts the order. The second prince, Long Xiaoyun, did not look too good. He walked out slowly, bowed and replied loudly. Phew. Long Xiaotian, who was at the side, let out a sigh and walked forward as well. Long Xiaotian accepts the title. Crown Prince token, the eighth prince receives it. A smile appeared on the white-haired elder's face. The eighth prince had obtained a fortuitous encounter in the Origin Light Dragon Pool. His strength was incomparably powerful, and his future was boundless. He could even lead the Light Dragon dynasty to take a step forward. The second prince befriended a top-notch expert at the 5th level of the Profound Void tier, and it was also very beneficial to the Light Dragon dynasty. The Crown Prince token emitted a dazzling white light as it flew towards the 8th prince. At this moment, a faint smile finally appeared on Long Xiaoyun's face. Although his subordinates had died, he still had the entire Radiant Dragon Empire. He extended his hand and took the token of the Crown Prince. Wang Xian looked at the token of the Crown Prince as well as the 8th prince. A smile appeared on his face. He extended his arm slowly. Whoosh! Just as the token of the Crown Prince was about to fall into the 8th prince's hand, the token flew towards Wang Xian instantly under a powerful force. Snap! In an instant, the token was in his hand. He looked at the stunned Long Xiaoyun with a smile on his face. What? Wang Xian is going to do it. Everyone changed their expressions slightly. Looking at Wang Xian, who was holding the Crown Prince's token, their eyes sparkled. All the important ministers, generals, the white-haired elder and the king Long Tingyang stood up instantly. They stared at Wang Xian with an unsightly expression. You. Long Xiaoyun widened his eyes and stared at Wang Xian with an unsightly expression. Brother Wang Xian, what are you trying to do? Long Tingyang stared at Wang Xian with a serious expression and asked with an unsightly expression. King Long Tingyang, I might have to offend you next. Wang Xian stood there and squinted his eyes slightly as he said faintly. Brother Wang Xian. Long Xiaotian was shocked when he heard Wang Xian's words. He quickly shouted. Wang Xian looked at him and said indifferently, this matter has nothing to do with Brother Long Xiaotian. As he spoke, his gaze swept across Long Xiaoyun and all the people from the Frost sect behind him. Killing intent slowly appeared in his eyes. Next, Long Xiaoyun must die and the Frost sect must be destroyed. Wang Xian stood there and uttered a few shocking words. What? Damn, Wang Xian is going to do it. He. As soon as he finished speaking, all the forces and families in the Guanglong Empire stood up and stared at Wang Xian in shock. The people who came to watch the ceremony were also dumbfounded. What was Wang Xian going to do? Was he going to make an enemy out of the Guanglong Empire? Wasn't he Long Xiaoyun's brother? Why? Wang Xian, you, how dare you? How dare you? Under Wang Xian's gaze, Long Xiaoyun couldn't help but take 2 steps back. His face was filled with fear. How dare you? A hint of contempt appeared on Wang Xian's face. Long Xiaoyun? You ordered the sect master of the Frost sect, Ling Bingganzi, to kill me just now. Do you really think that I'm afraid of the Frost sect? Or do you really think that I won't dare to kill you just because of the Light Dragon dynasty? Cold sect, I want to destroy you. I want to kill you. Today, even the Light Dragon dynasty can't save you. Boom. After Wang Xian finished his words, a terrifying killing intent swept towards Long Xiaoyun and everyone from the Cold sect. The killing intent was locked onto them. Everyone in the surroundings was filled with astonishment. In the territory of the Guanglong dynasty, he wanted to kill the newly appointed crown prince. This was too arrogant. Boom. On the stage, the king of the Guanglong dynasty, Long Tingyang, instantly emitted a terrifying aura. Brother Wang Xian, are you making an enemy out of the Guanglong dynasty? Long Tingyang stared at Wang Xian with an ugly expression. Haha, King Long Tingyang, your son Long Xiaoyun wants to kill me? Do you think that I'm someone that others want to kill? Since you can't kill me, then just wait for your death. Wang Xian laughed out loud and stared at Long Tingyang. Let me say it here today. Whoever dares to stop me will be my enemy. If your Light Dragon dynasty wants to make a move, then today I will make your Light Dragon dynasty. Rivers of blood. Chapter 1335. 1335 was a legend. If your Guanglong dynasty wants to make a move, I will make your Guanglong dynasty. Rivers of blood. Cold and murderous words resounded in the sky above the island of the Guanglong dynasty. Wang Xian stood there and stared at Long Tingyang with a cold gaze. His powerful aura and untouchable dignity made everyone's heart tremble slightly. This? Everyone around widened their eyes when they saw Wang Xian facing the entire Guanglong Empire in such a domineering manner. This is too fucking domineering. Some of the forces that came to observe the ceremony were all dumbfounded. Their eyes sparkled with a mystical luster. Maybe this is a powerhouse. Some of the young men looked at Wang Xian with admiration. Their eyes were filled with yearning. This was the dignity of a strong person. It must not be offended. So what if it was the Light Dragon Empire? Everyone present could see clearly that the 8th prince wanted to kill Wang Xian. Initially, everyone thought that Wang Xian might not be bothered because of the relationship between the 2nd prince and the giant Light Dragon Empire. But now everyone was wrong. Firstly, the position of the crown prince was not the 2nd prince. If he killed the 2nd prince, he would have the position of the heir. Secondly, the dignity of the strong should not be violated. What was there to be afraid of in the Guanglong Empire? Looking at Wang Xian who was standing there, everyone took a deep breath. Wang Xian's action was unexpected, but it was within reason. You. Long Tingyang looked at the powerful Wang Xian with an extremely ugly expression. He stared at Wang Xian coldly and looked at the generals and important officials around him, as well as the few elders of the judging panel. At this moment, everyone from the Light Dragon Empire had an unsightly and solemn expression. Wang Xian's strength was obvious to everyone. He had the terrifying ability to kill Bing Hanzi, especially the gigantic millstone with a radius of 2,000 meters. This made everyone's heart palpitate. The attack that was like the river of time was instantly wiped out by the sect master of the Frost sect who was at level 4 of the see-through realm. If Wang Xian was their enemy, who else would be able to withstand it? Then, apart from the king, who else in the Light Dragon Empire could withstand it? Even if they activated the formation around them, how effective would it be? Frost sect, destroy. Wang Xian didn't give them any time to hesitate. He looked at everyone from the Frost sect. His figure flashed and the crown on his head released a series of destructive attacks. The attack covered an area of 1,000 meters. Oh no, run now. 8th prince, save us, save us. When the people from the cold sect saw Wang Xian's attack, they widened their eyes and shouted in horror. Some of the experts wanted to escape, while others begged for mercy from the 8th prince. At this moment, the 8th prince's body was trembling violently. Father, save me. Long Xiaoyun pleaded for help to Long Tingyang in fear. Long Tingyang's face revealed a furious expression when he saw Wang Xian making a move. Bus. Ah! Miserable screams rang out. Frost sect, which had more than 30 insightful void stage experts, and nearly 1,000 top-notch Frost sect disciples were instantly annihilated by the violent force in the 5 Elements River. How terrifying. 4 words flashed across everyone's mind. The extremely powerful Frost sect, from the founder to the sect master, and finally to all the insightful void martial artists and elite disciples, had all died. All of this was because they had offended Wang Xian. They would be annihilated as they wished and they would do it as they said. Next, it's your turn. Wang Xian's figure flashed and appeared directly in front of the 8th prince, Long Xiaoyun. One of his arms went straight for his neck. Father, save me. Save me. Long Xiaoyun's face was no longer as arrogant as before. His face was filled with despair as he shouted for help. With his strength, he would definitely be able to crush the heavens favorites of his generation. However, it was a pity that he was facing Wang Xian. He had no ability to resist at all. Wang Xian, stop. Long Tingyang saw his son being grabbed by Wang Xian. His eyes were bloodshot as he moved and appeared 2,000 meters in front of Wang Xian. A dragon head staff appeared in his hand. It was the dragon head of the dragon race of the supernatural continent. A dazzling power of light gathered on his body. I'll give you 10 seconds to consider. Let go of me. He stared at Wang Xian and shouted. Cough, cough, cough. Wang Xian grabbed Long Xiaoyun's neck with one hand, causing his face to turn extremely red. He coughed with great difficulty. He slowly extended his other hand. Boom. In an instant, Wang Xian's other hand suddenly turned into 7 to 8 meters in size. His ferocious dragon claw pointed straight at Long Xingyang. I have no enmity with your Radiant Dragon Empire, but I have enmity with Long Xiaoyun. He must die. If you want to fight, I'll fight. He said with a domineering expression. Explode. Boom. No. Finally he spat out a word. The palm that was holding Long Xiaoyun instantly emitted a terrifying explosion. The terrifying explosion was accompanied by a voice that was filled with regret and despair. Wang Xian stared at Long Tingyang calmly. After the surrounding explosions and screams, the entire venue fell silent. Wang Xian had killed a prince, and he was the one who was appointed as the crown prince. If Long Tingyang were to make a move, it would definitely be a great battle. However, all the karma came from Long Xiaoyan. He was showing off in front of a powerhouse at the peak. Now, even his ashes were fluttering in the wind. Everyone in the entire Guanglong dynasty fell silent. The few elders of the judging panel at the back looked at each other with helpless eyes. Who would have thought that such a thing would happen in the position of crown prince? Even an expert at level 5 of the see-through void tier had made a move. Get lost. Get out of here. After a period of silence for about 10 seconds, Long Tingyang's expression kept changing. He shouted at Wang Xian with a face full of killing intent. Haha, see you again. When Wang Xian heard Long Tingyang's words, he laughed out loud and retracted his long arm. A carefree expression appeared on his face as he looked at Zhang Fengying. Zhang Fengying looked at him with a smile on her face. Her figure moved and flew towards him. I've said it before. I will help you take the position of crown prince. Wang Xian looked at Long Xiaotian. With a wave of his arm, the token of the crown prince flew towards him. But, holding the crown prince's token, Long Xiaotian's face was filled with bitterness. He was really afraid that Wang Xian would fight with his father. He was really afraid that Wang Xian would become enemies with the Guanglong dynasty. If that really happened, the consequences would be unimaginable. I'm leaving. Maybe in 1 or 2 years, I will visit the human-demon graveyard again. See you in the future. Wang Xian took a glance at Long Xiaotian and his faint voice resounded in the sky. He turned around and walked away with Zhang Fengying. Behind him, everyone from the Light Dragon dynasty and all the forces that came to watch the ceremony were filled with various expressions as they watched the disappearing figure. Fear. Admiration. Respect. Admiration. In just a short year, he had left too many legends in the tomb of the demi-humans. Chapter 1336. 1336 The Dragon Palace developed in a year. I didn't expect you to be so strong in just a year. Zhang Fengying flew out from the island of the Light Dragon Empire. She looked at Wang Xian in astonishment and asked in astonishment. Haha, it's all right. I didn't come out to train for a year in vain. Wang Xian laughed. He was in a good mood. The nameless sword demon, the supreme heaven's pride, the powerful creatures in the main hall, and the battle today. Zhang Fengying mumbled. She looked at Wang Xian and revealed a faint smile on her face. Each of them had glorious battle achievements, and each of them had names that made people fearful of them. In the very long period of time in the future, these names would be shrouded in the tomb of the demi-human. Be it the younger generation, the middle-aged generation, or the powerhouses who had lived for more than 1,000 years. Wang Xian, this name was a legend to them. A legend. Let's go back. The two of them returned to their residence. Wang Xian summoned his demon soul and brought along 2 ferocious beasts of the first level of the see-through realm. He gestured to Zhang Fengying and the two of them flew towards the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. That is? That demon soul? The king beast of the demon beast clan? Is the nameless sword demon sitting on the demon scale demon beast? Who is his real identity? When Wang Xian and Zhang Fengying left the cemetery on their mounts, the surrounding people immediately saw the demon soul surging with demon flames, along with the 2 figures on top. Everyone had a look of surprise on their faces. However, very soon Wang Xian and the rest disappeared quickly. The people in the graveyard of demi-humans would soon know the name of Wang Xian. Ta-ta-ta-ta. The demon soul galloped in the sky, bringing with it a powerful force as it flew at an unbridled speed. As a demonic beast of the second level of the see-through void tier, its speed was unquestionable. The journey would have taken more than 10 days. With the speed of the demon soul, it would take at most 2 days to reach the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Why is there an army below us? When they were about to reach the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, Wang Xian saw an army of more than 10,000 people galloping on the ground. There were 4 to 5 experts at the insightful void tier leading the way. Wang Xian took a glance and paid no attention to them. It was very likely that the reason why so many troops were deployed was to exterminate a certain race of demon beasts or a group of ferocious beasts. The Dragon Phoenix Empire has changed so much in just a year. When the Dragon Phoenix Empire appeared in their line of sight, Zhang Fengying looked at the huge city in front of them with a face full of shock. Even Wang Xian's eyes were filled with astonishment. The entire city had doubled in size. It was much more majestic than the royal cities that Wang Xian had encountered along the way. The huge city stood within a radius of 100 kilometers. There were 5 towers that were 1,000 meters tall inside. There were still many buildings being built inside. The number of people in the entire Dragon and Phoenix Empire had reached at least 10 million people. It had increased by 5 to 6 times. It was unknown where Feng Yuan had recruited so many people. Let's go. I'll bring you to a place. Wang Xian looked at Zhang Fengying and said to her. What place? Zhang Fengying looked at him curiously. You'll know once we get there. Wang Xian smiled, patted his demon soul and pointed in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Roar! The demon soul let out a low growl and flew towards the direction of the Dragon Palace. Enter the ocean. Wang Xian came to the top of the Dragon Palace and said to the demon soul. It's the king. Bang! After entering the ocean, an extremely huge underwater dragon palace appeared in front of them. This is? Zhang Fengying opened her mouth slightly and stared at the underwater dragon palace in shock. The dragon palace covered an area of 80 kilometers. The mythical underwater dragon palace shocked her. Wang Xian revealed a proud expression. The majestic dragon palace was comparable to some of the powerful buildings in the graveyard of demi-humans. In fact, it looked even more magnificent from the bottom of the sea. Let's go in. Wang Xian's body moved. He got down from his demon soul and brought her into the dragon palace. But as soon as they stepped into the dragon palace, a strong spiritual energy rushed over. A familiar feeling spread throughout his entire body. Dragon King. Dragon King. The yakshas who were patrolling around the palace immediately flew over when they saw Wang Xian returning. They knelt down and greeted him. All right, continue patrolling. Wang Xian waved his hand and flew towards the direction of the Dragon King's palace. The Dragon Palace was huge, but there were only about 3,000 members. It looked extremely spacious. Dragon King. When Wang Xian walked to the front of the Dragon King's palace, Ao Nu flew over quickly and greeted him respectfully. Where are Prime Minister Gue and the rest? Where are the Dragon Queen and the rest? Wang Xian scanned his surroundings and noticed that there were not many members in the dragon lair. He asked in puzzlement. Dragon King, Prime Minister Gue and the Dragon Queen have led a group of powerhouses from the Dragon Palace to the Deep Sea Spiritual Spring. Lady Ao quickly replied. Deep Sea Spiritual Spring. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. Dragon King, I am one of Prime Minister Gue's civil servants. I will report to you about the recent events. A civil servant from the Dragon Palace with a turtle shell on his back flew over from the Dragon Palace's Wenhua Pavilion when he saw Wang Xian's arrival. He knelt on the ground respectfully. Get up. Tell me about the development of the Dragon Palace in the past year. Wang Xian nodded and walked to the front of the dragon throne. He gestured to Zhang Fengying and asked her to sit at the side. It's the Dragon King. The civil official stood up respectfully. During the month when you were away, the Dragon Palace hunted the nearby sea beasts under the leadership of Prime Minister Gue and a few leaders. They were looking for various resources. The entire sea area within a radius of 500 kilometers is completely under the control of the Dragon Palace. Leader Mu Zixin has broken through to the second level of the Void Interpretation Realm in this 1 year. Leader Ao Yao Yao has broken through to the first level of the Void Interpretation Realm. Prime Minister Gue Ao Qitian Ao Jian Ao Qi Ao Yeka, Achi Ao Crab, and the 9 leaders of the Flood Dragons have all broken through to the first level of the Void Interpretation Realm. In addition, among the 5 Dragon Queens and the eldest princess, one of them has broken through to the first level of the Void Interpretation Realm. The rest of the members of the Dragon Palace are 100 at the half-step Void Interpretation Realm, 1200 at the 9th level of the Extraordinaire Realm, and the rest are at the 8th and 7th level of the Extraordinaire Realm. Listening to the reports from his subordinates, Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. In a year's time, not only did his strength improve tremendously, but the entire Dragon Palace was also developing rapidly. The group of leaders had already reached the first level of the See-Through Realm while the rest were above the 7th level of the Extraordinaire Realm. This strength was considered pretty good. However, this strength was still a little too weak when compared to some empires. There was even a huge gap when compared to the Star Moon Dynasty. Of course, this was under the circumstances where Wang Xian didn't make a move. What is the Deep Sea Spiritual Spring? Why did Prime Minister Gue and the rest go there? Wang Xian asked the civil officials below with a hint of curiosity on his face. Chapter 1337. 1337 Items of the Dragon Palace, you're all dead. Go. This chapter is invalid, because you don't have the authority to change it in time. Please don't subscribe to this chapter. There will be new content tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You have to gather 1,000 words before you can publish. This chapter is invalid, because you don't have the authority to change it in time. Please don't subscribe to this chapter. There will be new content tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You need to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid. Because you do not have the authority to change it in time, please do not subscribe to this chapter. New content will be added tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You have to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. This chapter is invalid because you do not have the authority to change it in time. Please do not subscribe to this chapter. There will be new content tomorrow. I'm sorry everyone. You have to gather 1,000 words before you can publish it. Chapter 1338. 1338 items from the Dragon Palace. All of you must die. Dragon King, the deep-sea spiritual spring is a small spiritual vein discovered by the Dragon Palace. It is 600 kilometers away from the Dragon Palace. However, after we discovered it, the undersea demon beast discovered it. Half a year ago, leader Ao Chichen was killed in a battle. It took a lot of resources to resurrect him. After that, Prime Minister Gue led all the experts of the Dragon Palace on an expedition, but they were still unable to protect the deep-sea spiritual spring. However, for the deep-sea spiritual spring, the Dragon Palace has 10% of the resources, the Sky Island dynasty has 70%, the Electric Eel clan has 10%, and the Harpoon clan has 10%. Right now, Prime Minister Gue and the others are going to the deep-sea spiritual spring to take the spiritual stones that belong to us. In addition, the Sky Island dynasty and the One Leaf Continent dynasty are going to propose a marriage and invite the Dragon Palace. A day ago, Prime Minister Gue and the rest went there personally to handle the matters regarding the deep-sea spiritual spring and the Sky Island dynasty. When the civil officials of the Dragon Palace heard Wang Xian's question, they immediately bowed and reported respectfully. When Wang Xian heard his words, he raised his eyebrows slightly. His eyes were sparkling. Are you saying that the deep-sea spiritual spring was discovered by the Dragon Palace first? Later it was discovered by the other demonic beast races, the human dynasty? His eyes flickered with a cold expression as he asked indifferently. It was the Dragon King. The deep-sea spiritual spring was discovered by a strange demon. However, when we were preparing to mine it, it was discovered by the other demon beasts. Finally, it was discovered by the human dynasty. In the beginning there was a competition. However, the human dynasty had a top-tier expert at the 4th level of the Profound Void tier. We couldn't defend it at all, so we only got 10%. However, even if it was 10%, it still brought a huge amount of resources to the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace's civil official nodded and reported. 10%. A cold smile appeared in Wang Xian's eyes. Where is the deep-sea spiritual spring? Bring me there. He stood up slowly and ordered with a twinkle in his eyes. It's the Dragon King. I've never been there before. I'll go and call for a yaksha. The civil official nodded and walked out immediately. Soon, a member of the Hag clan arrived. Dragon King, I know the location of the deep-sea spiritual spring. I'll bring you there. The general of the Hag clan bowed respectfully and said to Wang Xian. Come, let's go. Wang Xian looked at Zhang Fengying. Fengying, are you strolling around here or are you coming with me? I'll go with you. Zhang Fengying said directly. Alright, let's go. Show me the direction. Wang Xian moved his body and transformed into a terrifying divine dragon that was 50 meters long. He waved his arm and Zhang Fengying landed on his body. As for Yaksha who was at the side, he was controlled by Wang Xian's energy and was guiding the direction. He didn't dare to stand on Wang Xian's body. He wouldn't dare to do so even if he was given 10 guts. As for Zhang Fengying, Feng Wan, and the other girls, they were naturally in a special situation. Let's go. Roar. Wang Xian let out a soft roar and a dragon's roar sounded. His huge body flew deeper into the ocean. His speed was several times faster than the demon soul. Especially in the ocean, his speed was even more terrifying. His huge body that was 50 meters long emitted a powerful dragon's might. In the surroundings, some aquatic creatures sensed Wang Xian's aura. They laid in the water from a distance of 1,000 meters and worshipped him. With Wang Xian's current speed, he only needed about 10 minutes to cover a distance of 600 kilometers. In fact, his speed was even faster than his current speed. Dragon King, it's right in front of us. At this moment, the yaksha that was controlled by Wang Xian's energy pointed forward respectfully and said to Wang Xian. Okay. Wang Xian looked at a spot 3 kilometers in front of him. His body came to a stop slowly as his eyes flickered. There was a huge underwater factory in front of him. At this moment, the depth of the factory was about 20,000 to 30,000 meters. Even so, the factory that was similar to a base in front of him was very vast. A 1,000-meter-sized ship was floating in the middle of the sea. The entire ship was flashing with a blue luster and looked extremely mystical. At the bottom of the ship, demonic beasts of all shapes and sizes were scattered all around. There were the electric eel demonic beasts that were more than 10 meters long and were emitting lightning bolts. There were also the sea fork demonic beasts that were bloated and had forks on their heads and arms. Most of them were humans. Similarly, Wang Xian also saw members of the dragon clan inside. The deep-sea spiritual spring was simply a deep-sea spiritual vein. Even if it was just a small-scale deep-sea spiritual vein, it was still priceless. It was possible to collect trillions or even tens of trillions of middle-grade spiritual stones from the deep-sea spiritual spring. This was definitely a terrifying treasure trove. If the Dragon Palace could obtain all of it, it would at least increase the strength of all the members of the Dragon Palace by 1 or 2 levels. Let's go. Wang Xian's gaze swept ahead. His body moved and he reverted to his human form as he walked towards the deep-sea spiritual spring. The Yiksha immediately followed closely behind Wang Xian. Zhang Fengying followed closely behind with a curious expression. They were at the bottom of the deep sea. However, the area in front of them was emitting a white glow. That was the glow emitted by the spiritual stones. Stop. Who are you? Just when Wang Xian and the other two were about 1,000 meters away from the deep-sea spiritual spring, a cold voice was suddenly heard. 2 extraordinary level 8 humans appeared in front of them and glanced at Wang Xian and the other two. We are from the Dragon Palace. Please let us in. The Yiksha quickly stepped forward and bowed. From the Dragon Palace. The 2 middle-aged men looked at Wang Xian and Zhang Fengying. Their eyes lingered on Zhang Fengying for a few seconds. Hehe, I didn't expect there to be so many beauties in your Dragon Palace. Let's go in. A lewd look flashed across the eyes of the 2 middle-aged men as they said faintly. Thank you. The Yiksha nodded and led the way for Wang Xian. Wang Xian glanced at the 2 middle-aged men. His eyes were filled with indifference. Dragon King, come over here. There are 2,000 members of our Dragon Palace who dig for spiritual stones here. After that, we will distribute the spiritual stones. The Yiksha brought Wang Xian to the largest house in front of them. Wang Xian looked around. Some members of the Dragon Palace looked over when they sensed the arrival of the Dragon King. He gestured to the members of the Dragon Palace to stay still and continue to walk forward. Peng Heaven Island Dynasty. Isn't the distribution this time a little too low? The middle-grade spirit stones dug out this month are at least 100 billion middle-grade spirit stones. Why do we only have 5 billion here? Just as Wang Xian approached, he heard an angry roar. The voice sounded familiar. It was obviously from Ao Qitian. Less? How is it less? Last month you guys also had 5 billion middle-grade spirit stones. This month it's the same. How is it less? Haha, 5 billion. That's it. That's your share. Cut the crap. If you want it, then take it. If not, then get lost. A sinister voice and a maniacal laughter continued to come from within. I was going to publish 5 more chapters, but after writing a few, I felt that it wasn't very well written. I even published 2 more chapters. I might as well just cancel the 2nd chapter and then cancel everything I wrote yesterday. I wanted to make the plot more exciting. If I wasn't satisfied with it, I would just delete it. As a result, I only published 1 chapter yesterday. I deleted the 2nd chapter after I published it, but it took twice as much time as usual. I got up at night and wrote another chapter, and tomorrow I'll be back to normal, and I'll do everything I can to make it good. I'm sorry, everyone. Chapter 1339. 1339. The item of the 1339 Dragon Palace. You are all waiting to die. Arrogant voices came from a huge room in front one after another, causing Wang Xian to slow down his footsteps. A hint of killing intent could be seen in his eyes. Sky Island Dynasty. Don't think that just because you are in a marriage alliance with the One-Leaf Mainland Dynasty, you don't put us in your eyes. A muffled voice came from inside again. The voice was also filled with anger. I don't think much of you. If you want it, take it. If you don't want it, our Sky Island Dynasty will help you take it. A proud voice sounded. Wang Xian took a step forward and walked straight inside. He looked ahead and saw 2 old men sitting in the middle. On both sides, Ba Qi and Ao Qitian sat on the left. On the right, There was a 12-meter-long electric eel and a 3 to 4-meter-long, bloated harpoon demon beast. There were a few interspatial rings on the table. Dragon King. Upon seeing the three figures that suddenly appeared at the door, Ba Qi and Ao Qitian were slightly stunned. Their eyes were filled with excitement as they hurriedly walked over and bowed. Yes. Wang Xian nodded his head faintly and looked at the two old men in the middle. Oh, Dragon King, your name is quite big. Are you the leader of the Dragon Palace? The two old men were astonished when they saw Wang Xian walk in. This was the first time they had seen the leader of the Dragon Palace in the half a year they had been in contact with the Dragon Palace. How is it? Wang Xian ignored the two old men and looked at Ba Qi and Ao Qitian indifferently. Dragon King, our strength is still too weak. Ba Qi's eyes flickered when he heard Wang Xian's words. As an old man who had lived for more than 1,000 years, he could naturally understand Wang Xian's meaning when he saw his expression and simple question. In the entire Dragon Palace, even Prime Minister Gue was not as experienced as Ba Qi when it came to people's minds. Ba Qi led a group of poisonous snakes under him to specialize in developing all kinds of poisons. Wang Xian still attached great importance to this department that had yet to take shape. Poisons could be used to fight against people of a higher level. They could also kill people invisibly. It's all right. Your strength is weak. You can slowly increase it. Wang Xian shook his head slowly. This Dragon King, I'm talking to you. The two elders saw that Wang Xian was ignoring them. One of the burly elders stared at him coldly. Wang Xian turned his head and looked at the two of them. He walked to the front of the table and looked at them. How many months has it been since the deep-sea spiritual spring was taken? He looked at the two people from the Sky Island Empire calmly. You must be dumbfounded, kid. You can ask your subordinates if it has been taken for a few months. The skinny elder beside the muscular elder leaned against the chair and looked at Wang Xian coldly. But just as the skinny elder finished his sentence, Wang Xian waved his arm and a ray of light instantly entered his body. The frail elder suddenly widened his eyes. His mouth was slightly open and he didn't move at all. What? Wang Xian suddenly made his move and instantly killed the frail elder. This caused the electric eel, the harpoon, and the burly elder to be stunned. They widened their eyes and stared at the frail elder who couldn't sense any signs of life. This was a powerhouse at level 3 of the void interpretation stage. How could this be? The face of the burly old man changed drastically. He stood up in horror and a shield appeared on his left arm. A weapon that looked like a harpoon appeared in his right hand. They stared at Wang Xian in horror. How many months has it been? Wang Xian stared at the old man indifferently and asked again. Gulp. The burly old man looked at the calm Wang Xian and beads of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. 4 months. Only 4 months including this time. At the side, the two level 2 see-through electric eel and harpoon demonic beasts swayed slightly and retreated backward. Their eyes were filled with terror. They killed a level 3 see-through expert with a wave of their hands. What kind of strength was this? 4 months, 100 billion a month, 4 months, 400 billion. If the compensation is 10 times that, then it will be 4 trillion. Wang Xian mumbled, if the money is not enough, then we can only. As he spoke, his eyes flickered. When the burly elder heard Wang Xian's words, his pupils constricted slightly and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Do you guys know that our Dragon Palace discovered this place first? Suddenly Wang Xian changed the topic. He raised his head and looked at the burly elder as he asked plainly. It's an item without an owner. Those who are capable will get it. The eyes of the burly elder flickered. However, if your Dragon Palace is powerful enough in the future when it comes to the distribution of the deep-sea spiritual spring. The Dragon Palace discovered a treasure and you guys still want to share it? Are you courting death? Wang Xian's voice suddenly turned extremely cold. It's not easy to spit out 4 months' worth of spirit stones. As he spoke, he waved his arm and the energy of the 5 elements annihilation was directed towards the burly old man. What do we have to discuss properly? Seeing Wang Xian's attack, the burly old man's face was filled with shock. He quickly raised his shield and exclaimed. Boom. However, when the 5 elements annihilation energy landed on the shield, it immediately produced a loud explosion sound. The burly old man's face instantly revealed a look of horror. He spat out blood and widened his eyes in disbelief. He was a top-notch expert of the Heaven Island dynasty, yet he was killed so easily. This Dragon King. This Dragon King, let's talk things over. The Electric Eel and the Harpoon Demon Beast were terrified when they saw Wang Xian killing 2/3 level Profound Void martial stage powerhouses in 2 moves. Ba Chi Chi Tian. Wang Xian turned around and looked at them. Dragon King, back then brother Ao Chichen, was killed by the leader of the Harpoon Demon Beast. The Electric Eel Demon Beast clan is also sinister and cunning. Now that you have returned, Dragon King, we can finally stop worrying. Ba Chi and Ao Chitian's eyes were filled with killing intent as they said excitedly. A few months ago the Dragon Palace was weak. Even if they encountered a treasure land like the Deep Sea Spiritual Spring, they would not be able to occupy it. Not only that, for some resources, they had to be suppressed by the Sky Island dynasty. They had planned to lay low for a period of time and wait for the Dragon Palace's strength to reach a certain level before fighting back. They didn't expect the Dragon King to return. Furthermore, the Dragon King's strength had reached a terrifying level. It seems that many things have happened in the years since I left. Wang Xian's eyes were extremely cold. He looked at the 2 demonic beasts in the room and waved his arm. No, Dragon King. If you dare to kill us all, we... The 2 demonic beasts were horrified. They turned around and fled while roaring. Bang, bang. However, Wang Xian waved his hand gently and the 2 demonic beasts fell to the ground. Kill all of them except the members of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian walked out with a cold gaze. He looked at the group of humans and demonic beasts who were taking spiritual stones. Among them, there were more than 1,000 members of the Dragon Palace. Disciples of the Dragon Palace, listen up. No one is allowed to offend the items of the Dragon Palace. Those who do die. Give it to me, kill. Chapter 1340. 1340 1,340 countries destroyed 1. Kill? A deafening sound reverberated throughout the Deep Sea Spiritual Spring. Dragon King, it's the Dragon King's voice. The Dragon King is here, the Dragon King is here. When Wang Xian's voice rang out, some of the members of the Dragon Palace who did not see Wang Xian's arrival shuddered. Soon after, their faces revealed an excited expression. Roar, roar, the Dragon King is here. Those who dare to offend our Dragon Palace and take over our treasured land will die. A demon monkey roared with excitement, and his face instantly revealed a violent expression. Are you motherfucking Dragon Palace crazy? Are you courting death? Hurry up and dig out the spirit stones. Motherfucker, I think you don't want to live anymore. What Dragon King? Bullshit Dragon King. Around them, the humans of the Sky Island dynasty, the aquatic electric eel demon beasts, and the harpoon demon beasts saw the roar that suddenly covered the entire area, and their faces slightly changed. When they saw the excited expressions of the members of the Dragon Palace, their faces turned black, and they immediately cursed. The Dragon Palace was the weakest among the 4 forces, and it was also an existence that was bullied by the other forces. Now they actually dared to shout arrogantly and they immediately cursed. Kill? However, in the next moment, what made the Sky Island dynasty, the electric eel demon beasts, and the harpoon demon beasts terrified was that the members of the Dragon Palace put down the mining shovels in their hands and directly attacked the 3 forces. Caught off guard, hundreds of humans and demon beasts were killed instantly. Die. Kill those bastards from the Dragon Palace. Some of the experts of the Sky Island dynasty roared angrily. Boom. However, at this moment, a terrifying force covered the entire Deep Sea Spiritual Spring. What happened? Who dares to intrude our Sky Island dynasty's territory? When the terrifying force covered an area of 10 kilometers, the location in the sky. On the strange ship that was 1,000 meters in size, 3 insightful Emptiness Realm experts flew out directly. Behind them, there were more than 10 half-step insightful Emptiness Realm experts. Boom. However, just as they came out, Wang Xian, who was floating in the sky, waved his arm. A force of 5 elements annihilation swept towards them. Under the watchful eyes of the 5,000 to 6,000 people from the 3 major forces at the bottom of the sea, the experts who had just flown out died before they could even scream in pain under the terrifying energy. What? There are experts from the Dragon Palace? What is the Dragon Palace trying to do? They actually dare to make an enemy out of the 3 of us. You are courting death. When the top experts from the Sky Island Empire arrive, everyone from the Dragon Palace will die. How dare you offend your superiors? Furious voices came from the surroundings. "Boom! Offend your superiors?" Wang Xian floated in the air and stared at everyone from the other three forces below. His body trembled and rays of gray light shot downwards. Ah! Below him, humans and demonic beasts were dying. What? When Wang Xian's terrifying attack landed, all the humans and demonic beasts of the Tiandao dynasty, the Electric Eel tribe, and the Harpoon tribe were stunned. "Dragon King, come back. Anyone who dares to offend us, kill them." Ao Qitian let out a loud roar. His body shook and he turned into a 15-meter-tall behemoth. In his ear, a huge ocean-pacifying needle appeared in his hand. He waved the ocean-pacifying needle, and a huge amount of energy directly attacked the three powerful human demon beasts. "Kill?" The other members of the Dragon Palace also shouted excitedly. The humiliation and anger that they had felt during this period of time were all vented out, and the attacks tore the enemy's bodies apart. "Not good, run quickly." The human and demon beasts of the three forces saw their own experts being killed instantly, and the experts of the Dragon Palace massacred wantonly. All of them were terrified and fled in all directions. However, Ao Qitian would not let everyone off. With his monstrous demonic flames, he waved his ocean-pacifying divine needle. With a swing of his rod, even an expert at the second level of the see-through void tier would be afraid. "Ba Qi, where are Prime Minister Gue and the Dragon Queen?" Wang Xian was floating in the sky as he looked down and asked Ba Qi, who was beside him. Reporting to the Dragon King, today is the day of the marriage between the Tiandao Kingdom and the One-Leaf Mainland Dynasty. The Tiandao Dynasty invited our Dragon Palace over and asked all of our experts to celebrate. Prime Minister Gue and the Dragon Queen have already gone over. Ba Qi said to Wang Xian. "The day of the marriage, the day of the wedding." Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. "You know the place, right? Let's go over." "It's the Dragon King." Ba Qi nodded. "The Sky Island Dynasty is about 400 kilometers away from here and belongs to an island dynasty. The king of this dynasty has the strength of a fourth-level void interpretation. The One-Leaf Mainland Dynasty that has the marriage with him is even stronger. There is more than one fourth-level void interpretation expert among them." Ba Qi reminded Wang Xian lightly. "Okay." Wang Xian nodded his head and looked down. Under Ao Qitian's personal attack, only a second-level insightful void martial artist could fight against him. The rest, even if they were at the first-level insightful void martial artist, were no match for him. In the entire deep-sea spiritual spring, almost all the humans and demonic beasts from the three factions were killed. "Ao Qitian, you guard this place. Ba Qi, let's go." As Wang Xian spoke, he flew directly toward the Sky Island Dynasty under Ba Qi's lead. "Where are the aquatic electric eel and harpoon demonic beasts?" While flying in the ocean, Wang Xian asked Ba Qi with a twinkle in his eyes. "Dragon King, the marriage between the Sky Island Dynasty and the One-Leaf Continent Dynasty is very big this time. The aquatic electric eel and harpoon demonic beast should be with the Sky Island Dynasty as well." Ba Qi replied. "Oh, is that so? That's great." Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. Since they were all there, it would be easy to solve the problem. If he could not give him a satisfactory answer, Wang Xian would not let him know what regret was. What despair was. Whoosh. After flying for hundreds of kilometers, Wang Xian, Zhang Fengying, and Ba Qi rushed out of the sea. "Dragon King, in front of us is the kingdom of the Sky Island. There are more than 30 million people on the island. The royal family of the Sky Island is the king here." An island appeared in their line of sight. The island had an area of more than 100 kilometers. It was not very big, but it was not small either. There were many trees on the island, but there were no ferocious beasts or demonic beasts on it. The cities on the island looked magnificent. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he flew toward the center of the island. Near the center of the island, festive flowers could be seen from afar. In the sky, colorful seabirds were flying around, making the center of the island look very beautiful. In a huge palace in the center of the island, there were at least tens of thousands of people gathered at a spacious spot in front of the hall. Among them, the Prime Minister Guan Shuqing, and they gathered in one place. Chapter 1341. 1341 Destruction of the Country 2. In the huge banquet hall, a young man and a woman stood in the center in formal attire. The young man's face was full of pride, and he exuded a strong sense of confidence. His face was full of smiles. He was handsome and unrestrained, a favored son of heaven. He was the crown prince of the Sky Island dynasty, the future heir to the throne of the Sky Island dynasty. The woman beside him had exquisite looks, and her formal attire made her look very beautiful. She was the princess of the One-Leaf dynasty, the daughter of the king of the One-Leaf dynasty. The woman stood there with a hint of pride on her face. She slightly raised her head, proudly revealing her pure white neck. On the center stage, the king of the Sky Island dynasty sat on the throne with a smile on his face. There was another seat beside him and an old man sat on it. The old man was a peerless expert of the One-Leaf Continent dynasty, with a 4th-level profound void tier cultivation base. In order to promote the relationship between the two countries, they were engaged in a huge marriage alliance. The One-Leaf Continent dynasty's king's favorite princess marrying the crown prince of the Sky Island dynasty was a very important matter for both dynasties. All the major forces of the Sky Island dynasty had arrived in the surroundings. In order to show the power of the dynasty, the Sky Island dynasty had invited all the experts of the Harpoon Demon Beast clan, the Electric Eel Demon Beast clan and the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace and the 2 Demon Beast clans had to come because of the deep sea spiritual spring. Sky Island King, your dynasty has developed so fast in the past 2 years. TSK, the 3 forces below all look extraordinary. On the stage in front, the old man from the One-Leaf Continent dynasty glanced at the Dragon Palace and the 2 demonic beast races with a trace of surprise on his face. Fortunately, the 3 forces are not our subordinate forces. They just have some contact with each other. The Sky Island King laughed heartily. Half a year ago, he suddenly found a deep-sea spiritual spring. According to his estimations, he could at least take out tens of trillion middle-grade spirit stones. This was tens of trillion, and it could allow their Sky Island dynasty's strength to receive a huge increase. This was because the Sky Island dynasty had spent a lot of money in the past half a year, causing the One-Leaf Continent dynasty to enter into a marriage alliance with them. He could already see that the Sky Island dynasty would become stronger and stronger in the future. Is that so? The elder beside him revealed a smile as he looked at the scene. The Skyflower clan sends their congratulatory gifts to congratulate Crown Prince Jianghu and Princess One Leaf on their marriage in the future. Congratulations. Congratulatory voices sounded from below. The marriage between 2 dynasties. Even though today was only the engagement day, the customs were extremely complicated. Token exchange, gift giving, toast to guests and so on. The engagement process was already halfway through. It was the basic etiquette for the Crown Prince and Princess One Leaf to receive gifts and toast to guests. As 2 large countries, all the customs were very grand. Beside the Crown Prince and Princess, there were the Crown Prince's siblings and the Princess siblings. The Crown Prince and the Princess walked over, and a few young men came to their side and toasted with them. The people of the Sky Island dynasty are really insatiable. Not only do they want to call us over, but they also want us to give them enough gifts to support them. In the seat of the Dragon Palace, a group of members of the Dragon Palace were sitting in an area. Guan Shuqing looked forward, pursed her lips and said somewhat angrily, "We are not as strong as them. Xiaoxian has been away for a year, but he doesn't know how to come back." Ajaya echoed angrily. "With our development speed, they will have to think twice before threatening us again." Sun Lingxiu said indifferently. As members of the Dragon Palace, each of them had the ability to fight above their level. The strongest person in the Dragon Palace was Mao Zisen. He had the strength of a level 2 void interpretation expert, but he was able to fight against a level 3 void interpretation expert. Sun Lingxiu had reached level 1 void interpretation, so he could also fight against a level 2 void interpretation expert. He was even stronger because of his physique. "When brother comes, we'll teach them a good lesson." Xiao Yu also followed them and echoed. On the entire round table, besides Guan Shuqing and Xiao Yu, only Prime Minister Gue was serving them. At this moment, Prime Minister Gue, who was listening to the Dragon Queen's conversation with a smile on his face, moved slightly and his eyes sparkled. "Dragon Queen, Grand Princess, the Dragon King is here." A hint of excitement flashed in his eyes, and he quickly looked at the sky. The few girls were slightly taken aback. Soon after, they looked towards the sky excitedly. In the distance, Wang Xian, Zhang Fengying, and Ba Qi appeared in a flash in the sky and arrived at the location of the people from the Dragon Palace. With his speed and concealment, the king of the Sky Island Empire and the old man from the One Leaf Mainland Empire on the stage did not sense anyone suddenly flashing over. Dragon King. Prime Minister Gue stood up immediately. The surrounding members of the Dragon Palace also wanted to kneel down. Wang Xian waved his hand and gestured for them to sit down. Brother. Xiao Xian. A few girls looked excited. Xiao Yu stood up happily. This was the longest time that Wang Xian had left them. They had not seen each other for an entire year. The girls missed him dearly. Humph. No wonder he didn't come back for a year. However, their faces turned dark when they saw Zhang Fengying beside Wang Xian. The happy expression on their faces disappeared instantly. With a snort, they sat there without moving. Hee, this must be Miss Fengying. Have a seat. Sun Lingxiu was the kind of girl who was indifferent towards the Saint Mother. She looked at Zhang Fengying with a smile and invited her. Miss Fengying, come, sit beside me. Guan Shuqing squeezed out a smile and gestured to the seat beside her. The few girls knew about Zhang Fengying. Because of Wang Xian, her entire family was wiped out. They also knew about this matter. They knew that Wang Xian had always felt extremely guilty towards her. They had no ill intentions towards Zhang Fengying. However, this did not mean that they would allow Wang Xian to continue floating like this. Zhang Fengying nodded her head faintly and sat beside Guan Shuqing. Dragon King, please take a seat. Prime Minister Gue stood up respectfully and said hurriedly. There's no need. Just let him stand by the side. Guan Shuqing glanced at Wang Xian and said faintly. There's no room for him to sit. Prime Minister Gue, you can just sit down. Ajaya Tangyin Xian, and the rest looked at Prime Minister Gue and said. Prime Minister Gue revealed an embarrassed smile. He looked at Wang Xian and lowered his head without saying a word. Although the Dragon King was revered, this was after all a family matter of the Dragon King. With the attitude of the Dragon Queens, he didn't dare to say a word. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.